Luo, after listening to the advice, I became a god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. Yun Feng was dumbfounded. Actually, Dao Wu couldn't be blamed for this. It was extremely boring here. In this era, there were very few entertainment activities. Besides, she was a girl, so she couldn't experience many things. And the appearance of Yu Gang, who was either training or training, made Dao Wu's lively personality more suppressed. So when she heard about such fun things, of course she wanted to participate. In addition, Yun Feng had been missing for a few days. That's why she wanted to go. Otherwise, she didn't want to help people like Ma Hongjun. Although she didn't have too many prejudices, her first impression was still not good. But Ma Hongjun is no longer good now. She also knew all this, so she didn't care. 4 people became 5. Taking advantage of the night, they set foot on the path they were familiar with. The 5 people urged their soul power and rushed towards Soto City at lightning speed. Half an hour later, Fatty, do you usually come here to solve physiological problems? Dime Bai's brows were about to frown together. In his past, he would not even look at such a place. In front of the 5 people, there was a row of bungalows. This was a remote corner in Soto City. The bungalow in front of them was only more than 3 meters high, and it looked like many places were already damaged. There were a few pink lanterns hanging at the door, and under the lanterns stood a few heavily made up, obviously older prostitutes who were selling themselves to passers-by. Oscar's mouth twitched. No wonder you always say that there are golden phoenixes and grass nests. This is really a grass nest. Dime Bai and Oscar were really not very flattering about Ma Hongjun's taste. Dao Wu and Tang San were in such a place for the first time. Apart from curiosity, they didn't have any special feelings. Ma Hongjun just laughed twice, without refutation, but whispered, "It's cheap here. The price is cheap and the quantity is sufficient. 1 silver coin can come once, 2 silver coins can come 3 times. The cost-effective ratio is high, and you must believe that there are golden phoenixes and grass nests. It depends on luck." Everyone looked at Ma Hongjun like this and glared at him angrily. "When you go out, don't tell me I know you. Although I know you are hungry and will eat anything, I didn't expect you to be so strong. You actually came to such a rubbish place. Your golden phoenixes are old enough to be your aunts." Dime Bai said directly and mercilessly. "It's not that I envy Ma Hongjun at all. Although Ma Hongjun only has 3 sticks now, he still has time. Unlike him, he doesn't have the opportunity to practice now. I feel a little unbalanced in my heart," the fat man said angrily. "Boss Dai, you are not here to humiliate me on purpose, right? Let's do business first. You wait here. I'll go ask if that bastard has left." As he spoke, the fat man walked quickly towards his grass nest. Oscar looked around. This place is very remote, suitable for action. I have a big sausage, a small sausage, and a mushroom sausage. Listening to Oscar chanting the soul spell and starting to prepare for the battle, Dao Wu couldn't help but spit. It's just the same as always. Yun Feng, who was hiding in the dark, almost laughed out loud after noticing this scene. He really couldn't be blamed. Oscar's soul spell was really unique. What kind of person could have such a bad soul skill? However, Yun Feng didn't delve into the origin of these soul spells, but continued to watch. After a while, Ma Hongjun ran back excitedly. "Great, that guy hasn't left yet, but he's already paying the bill and will probably come out soon. Brothers, if you succeed in helping me get revenge this time, I'll treat everyone to a good meal later." Dime Bai waved at him. "Don't talk nonsense. We don't dare to go if you treat us with your taste. Forget it." After hearing what Dime Bai said, even Dao Wu couldn't help but nod. She, Tang San, Yun Feng, and Zhu Zuqing had all seen Dime Bai with the twin sisters. Compared with the ants in front of them, the pair of top-notch twins were simply a world apart. Even if he was abandoned later, he could not deny Dime Bai's vision. Although they were not good people. While they were talking, a man came out of the grass nest. Tang San and the other 5 were standing in a dark corner opposite the grass nest. At this time, The sky had completely darkened and it was difficult to see the side from the opposite side. "It's him," Ma Hongjun said with gritted teeth. Just as Ma Hongjun described, the man who walked out of the grass nest was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He had dark skin, a height of more than 1.6 meters, a satisfied smile on his face, gauze wrapped around his right hand, a pair of large shorts with several holes on his lower body, and a pair of flip-flops on his feet. He walked towards the street with his head shaking. He hummed a little tune while walking. "I'm in a good mood today, so I came out to walk the birds." But in the corner that Ma Hongjun and others didn't pay attention to, a black light flashed in Bula's eyes. Obviously, in such a long time, Bula has been completely controlled by Yun Feng. "Are you going to do it or not?" Ma Hongjun's fists were clenched so tightly that they made a crackling sound. When Dime Bai and the others were about to nod, Zhao Wu appeared directly, blocking them in front of them, and then said with a smile, "Let me do it." Zhao Wu's move made Yun Feng in the dark a little confused, and even had a headache. He wasted so much time, not to target Zhao Wu. He wanted to trick Tang San and the others, and now Wu took the initiative to stand up. What's the point? Should he continue with his plan? Just when Yun Feng was thinking about this, Zhao Wu suddenly started to act. Yun Feng had no choice but to let Bula operate on his own. Anyway, if anything happened, he could take over in time. Zhao Wu took small steps and walked towards the wretched uncle named Bula from the side. What is Zhao Wu going to do? Ma Hongjun looked at Tang San with some doubt. Everyone knows that Yun Feng and Tang San know her best. After all, they have lived together for so long, and now that Yun Feng is not here, Tang San is naturally the most familiar with her. Tang San patted his forehead and said helplessly, "You will know when you wait and see." Zhao Wu didn't seem to be walking fast, but she just stopped in front of the wretched uncle. "Hello, uncle. Excuse me, is there anyone selling candy nearby?" Bula had just come out of the grass nest, and the whole person was immersed in satisfaction. The sudden voice made him stunned for a moment, and he looked up at the source of the voice. Suddenly, his seemingly honest face had a special glow, and some parts of his body immediately became restless. It has to be said that Zhao Wu, who suddenly appeared in front of him at night, looked so lovely. Chapter 152 Tang San, I have a friend who, the tender and fair face, the long and shiny black scorpion braids, although not plump, but also has a certain size of the body, especially the rosy little face with a touch of immaturity. For an old SB like Bula, it is full of temptation. Bula's eyes lit up as he looked at Zhao Wu, and he thought to himself, what a pretty and lovely little Lolita. Oh, heaven, earth, is this a gift from you to me? With a cough, Bula quickly put away the silver light in his eyes, straightened his chest, and put on a strict posture. The change was so fast that if Zhao Wu hadn't been watching him, he would probably have been deceived. Little girl, you are still out to buy candy so late? This place is so remote. Aren't you afraid of running into bad guys? When Bula frowned, coupled with his seemingly honest appearance, it was really a bit sanctimonious. Zhao Wu blinked her beautiful big eyes. Uncle, are you a bad guy? Her soft voice made Dime Bai, Ma Hongjun and Oscar, who were not far away, twitch in their hearts. Is this still the flirtatious Zhao Wu who threw them like sandbags in battle? This is too good at pretending. Only Tang San showed a bitter smile on his face and was not surprised. He had seen such a scene as early as when he was in Notting. In terms of deceptiveness, Zhao Wu is better than Ning Rong, who just came to Shrek Academy, especially when she pretended to be the girl next door. Almost no normal man could be immune. The difference is that good people would only feel pity when seeing her like this, but people like Bula would only drool when seeing Zhao Wu at this time. Bula listened to Zhao Wu's question and immediately said righteously, Uncle is of course a good person. Little girl, what is your name? How old are you this year? Zhao Wu's face flushed with shame. My name is Zhao Wu, almost 13 years old. Bula was stunned for a moment, thinking to himself, almost 13, so only 12? His Adam's apple moved vigorously as he swallowed saliva. If he didn't eat this tender meat that was delivered to his mouth, he would really let himself down. You are only 12 years old and you have grown so tall, you will definitely be a great beauty in the future. Zhao Wu, there is no candy seller here, come with uncle. Uncle will take you to buy candy and then send you home. Okay. Zhao Wu smiled, nodded obediently, and said, okay. Bula did not expect that this little girl was so easy to deceive. Seeing that she agreed to go with him, he was overjoyed. He looked around with his little eyes and walked towards a remote direction according to his memory. In order not to alert the enemy, he resisted the urge to pull Zhao Wu's tender little hand. Oscar rubbed his eyes hard and poked Tang San beside him. Zhao San, is this really Zhao Wu? Why do I feel that she is a little different? Tang San said in a strange way. When I was in Notting College, I was talking about my friend. I had a friend who was misunderstood by Zhao Wu and thought he had done something wrong. Zhao Wu used this trick to trick my friend into a dark corner and then threw him 8 sections. 8 sections? What is that? Ma Hongjun couldn't help but become curious. A trace of fear flashed in Tang San's eyes. It is the most violent way of throwing among Zhao Wu's soft skills, throwing 8 times in a row. There is almost no possibility of resistance as long as the first throw is thrown. That is Zhao Wu's true strength. So, don't let her get close to you. I think this wretched uncle called Bula will have the honor to taste this feast. Let's follow her quickly to prevent accidents. Daima Bai, who was watching Tang San's changes, found the fear in his eyes and said subconsciously, your friend is not you. After hearing this, Tang San was immediately anxious. How can you slander my innocence for no reason? However, in response to Tang San's rebuttal, everyone just smiled and said nothing. It was too obvious. Besides, they had made something out of nothing before. After Tang San's face changed several times, he finally followed the others. His own affairs were trivial, and Zhao Wu's safety was the most important. Bula was very excited at this time, with his soul power reaching level 46. If he had been more alert as usual, he might have discovered that Tang San and others were following him. But at this moment, his mind was all on the young little Lolita beside him, so he didn't care about anything else. How could he know that sometimes Lolita would become a Rakshasa? He secretly looked at Zhao Wu. Zhao Wu's slender waist swayed slowly when she walked. Her hips were not too big, but her waist was too slender, so the arc she brought made Bula, the old SP, swallow his saliva secretly. In addition, Zhao Wu's almost perfect face, like the wind swaying lotus leaves and the rain moistening banana leaves, the evil fire in his heart that had originally been released had gradually risen. For an old SP of his age, external stimulation is particularly important. How could the Zhao Wu in front of him be compared to those chickens in the grass nest? The more he walked, the more remote it was, and there were few pedestrians around. Bula took Zhao Wu around a corner and came to a deep and dark alley. Uncle, where can I buy candy? It's so dark here, I'm a little scared. Zhao Wu said softly, as if she was a little panicked. Bula smiled and said, Zhao Wu, it's late at night, eating candy is not good for your health. Let your uncle take you to see the goldfish. See the goldfish? Where are the goldfish? Zhao Wu asked curiously. Bula stopped and stretched out his hand to start untying his belt. I'll have it soon. Zhao Wu suddenly laughed. Uncle, are you going to say next, I have a big sausage? Oscar in the dark froze. This can also poke me. Bula was stunned and stopped moving. He saw a pair of red eyes, full of charm, and the whole person suddenly fell into stiffness. And the next moment, in front of him, there was only a purple afterimage. His neck tightened, and before Bula could release his martial spirit, the black scorpion braid had quietly wrapped around his neck. The next moment, Bula felt a strong force coming from his neck, and his whole body had involuntarily left the ground. If Bula was a power-type soul master, he might have a chance to stabilize his body. Unfortunately, he was a control-type soul master. If a soul master's martial spirit could not be released, his strength would be greatly weakened. In addition, he had been working hard for a day, and his physical strength had already dropped by half. At this moment, Bula felt dizzy, and the next moment, his eyes had turned into a starry sky. Gold stars, silver stars, and stars of different sizes kept flashing in front of his eyes. The violent shock made it impossible for him to concentrate his soul power to release his martial spirit. His body could not even feel pain, only a strong numbness. Chapter 153 Zhao Wu's Solo Show. Daima Bai, Oscar, Tang San, and Ma Hongjun had already walked out of the darkness. Except for Tang San, the other three all stared with wide eyes, Watching the delicate body that was still awkward and tender before doing extremely violent movements, they finally saw Zhao Wu's full set of 8 section throws for the first time. When the teleportation skill was used, it was when Zhao Wu disappeared from Bula's sight. Zhao Wu's scorpion braid had been ready to face Bula's unpreparedness. The next moment, the miserable life of the wretched Uncle Bula had begun. Wrapping Bula's neck, Zhao Wu stepped on his lower back with one foot. The first Soul Ring skill waist bow movement, with the waist forced to lead the upper body, the neck was raised backwards, and the foot was pushed forward, and Bula's body had already flown into the air. The scorpion braid quietly detached, and Zhao Wu jumped up after Bula's body that was thrown into the air. The power of her waist bow was really terrifying. The 31st level soul power, with a 120% increase, directly threw Bula into the air at a height of 5 meters. When Bula's body climbed to the highest point, Zhao Wu caught up with him. She grabbed Bula's waist with both hands. The power of the waist bow moved again. The small waist seemed to be broken and took Bula's body to spin backwards instantly. At this time, Bula was still confused by Zhao Wu's charm skills. Apart from the feeling of dizziness, he could do nothing. Zhao Wu just grabbed Bula's clothes around his waist and spun twice in the air. When she fell to the ground, the rapid rotation under the effect of the waist bow took Bula's body to the ground with a thrilling whistling sound. At that moment, Tang San and the other 4 closed their eyes almost at the same time. The power of this kind of flying robbery and circling throw can be imagined. Zhao Wu had used it when competing with everyone, but at that time she threw them into the air in midair instead of throwing them to the ground like this. Bula was unlucky today. He met Zhao Wu, the little evil star. In addition, his wretched appearance was what Zhao Wu hated the most. At this time, he attacked without any intention of showing mercy. In Zhao Wu's mind, it would not be excessive to kill such a weird uncle who would not even let a 12-year-old girl go. However, Bula was a soul master of over 40 levels after all. During the 2 quick rotations, he finally woke up from Zhao Wu's charm skills. Although he did not have time to use his martial soul, he finally managed to spread his soul power all over his body to protect his body. But in the next moment, the violent shock had dispersed his concentrated soul power. Boom! Bula's body hit the ground heavily. Zhao Wu slapped his body flat to the ground. It was a complete contact with his whole body. Bula did not even have time to scream, and his nose was bleeding. The whole person was a little dazed by the fall, but this was just the beginning. Zhao Wu did not stop, and pressed her hands on Bula's waist and did a backflip. Her ankles were directly clamped on both sides of Bula's head. The waist bow was activated again, and Bula's body was thrown forward directly. The hands were loose, but the feet were able to exert greater power. Bula's body was driven by Zhao Wu's feet, and with Zhao Wu's own backflip, the whole person was swung up and hit the ground again. Zhao Wu fully demonstrated the elasticity of her waist strength. With the reaction force of the second fall, her body flipped back and smashed Bula back to the previous position. Bula's body was like a sack that was swung by Zhao Wu's feet. A total of 6 times, 3 times each, hit his bones all over his body and made crackling sounds. Oh my god, oh my god. Daimabai and the other 2 kept following Bula's body that was swung up by Zhao Wu with all his strength. Every time he fell hard, they couldn't help but scream, and blood had already splashed at their feet. Finally, when Zhao Wu swung Bula's body up again, he didn't fall directly to the ground, but threw it into the air. The 6 consecutive falls were considered to be over, including the initial volleying and killing circling fall. It was a full 7 times. Daimabai, Oscar, and Ma Hongjun were all thinking, what would it be like if they were the ones thrown down 7 times? Even Yun Feng, who was hiding in the dark, felt his scalp tingling when he saw this scene. Although he was very strong, he would not be able to handle a small combo once he was controlled by Zhao Wu. However, he still believed that Zhao Wu would not be so cruel to him. It was a pity for such a good plan. Daimabai also realized immediately that even if he had used the White Tiger Vajra transformation, once Zhao Wu threw him up like this, his soul power would probably be shattered. Zhao Wu jumped up again, just when Daimabai and the other 2 thought she was going to perform the aerial robbery and circling throw again. Zhao Wu did not make such a move. At this time, Bula had completely fallen into a semi-comatose state as Zhao Wu caught up with his body. Her legs clamped around his neck again. Her body flew 1,080-degree rotation. Bula's neck was clamped by her, so naturally he could only rotate with her. There were constant crackling sounds on his neck. Even if his cervical vertebrae were not broken, it was not much better. After 1,080 degrees, Zhao Wu did a graceful backflip, and with a final movement of her waist, she threw Bula's body directly to the ground. She also used the reaction force of throwing Bula to roll in the air for a few times and fell to the ground. Boom! The body of the wretched and weird Uncle Bula was smashed to the ground in an extremely weird posture. His whole body could not make any other movements except twitching. Ma Hongjun looked at Zhao Wu, who fell not far from him and was slightly panting, and asked tentatively, "Zhao Wu, you didn't kill him, did you?" Zhao Wu looked at Bula, who was lying on the ground, and his twitching and spasming body. "I know my limits. Yun Feng didn't let me kill anyone casually. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. However, I guess he won't be able to get up from bed for 3 months. I always say things in a mathematical way. I dislocated many of his joints. I'm afraid he won't be able to take care of himself for a while." Daima Bai said, a little depressed. "We are here to fight. You threw him like this. What can we do?" However, Zhao Wu, your 8-stage throw is really powerful. Obviously, he has been completely convinced. The fierce men in the academy are more powerful than each other. Before Yun Feng and others came, he was the boss. Now, for some reason, Daima Bai feels that anyone can abuse him. Of course, except Ning Rong, the auxiliary spirit master. Oscar added, "The key is that her teleportation is too abnormal. Once you are within 5 meters of her body, you can't run away." And, Zhao Wu, can your waist bow skill be used continuously? Don't you need to recondense your spirit power in the middle? Chapter 154 Tang San, go to Gotham. Buo is not suitable for you. Zhao Wu chuckled, as if the feat just now was not accomplished by her at all. "I needed to concentrate my soul power before, but after I reached level 30, I no longer needed extra time. Besides, even if I concentrated my soul power, it was enough in the interval between each waist bow. My 8-stage throw was useless to power-type soul masters. A control-type soul master like him will be unlucky if I succeed in sneak attacking him." Tang San looked at Zhao Wu in front of him, and suddenly said, "Zhao Wu, don't use the method just now to lure the enemy in the future. It's too dangerous." Zhao Wu looked at Tang San in confusion, and her eyes seemed to say, "Are you sick?" Tang San also realized that it was a bit inappropriate for him to say this now. After a wry smile, he explained, "I'm worried about you." After hearing this, Zhao Wu did not nod, but slowly said, "This is my way of fighting." After saying this, Tang San thought about it, and it seemed to be the case. After subconsciously touching the compound eyes on his forehead, his eyes were full of loss. Daima Bai looked at Tang San's current state. Of course he knew what was going on, but he certainly wouldn't try to explain, so he decisively waved his hand and said, "Okay, let's go. Fatty, this guy is much worse off than you. You can be considered to have taken revenge." After all, Ma Hongjun didn't do it himself, and he was still a little unsatisfied at this moment. He ran to Bula and kicked him hard a few times, saying hatefully while kicking, "I let you hit me, I let you hit me. I let you say I'm small, eh?" "That's right." As if he suddenly thought of something, Ma Hongjun grinned, "You go ahead, I'll be there soon." Daima Bai frowned and said, "Don't make a big deal. Although this guy hit you, he's not a good guy, but he's not guilty of death. Hurry up." "Got it." Seeing Daima Bai, Tang San, Oscar, and Zhao Wu disappearing around the corner, Ma Hongjun showed a strange smile on his face, raised his right hand, and a ball of purple-red flame emerged from his palm, while his eyes were aimed at Bula's lower body. Yun Feng thought he had no chance, but when he saw Ma Hongjun alone, the corner of his mouth suddenly curved slightly. He had destroyed the evil fire before, but not completely destroyed Ma Hongjun, because it was not good to go too far in the academy. Now he was not there. What a perfect opportunity. He knew that Ma Hongjun came to their palace with Oscar at night when he had nothing to do, and eavesdropped. Although nothing happened, But Ma Hongjun and Oscar's behavior also deeply touched Yun Feng's Thunder Point. It was like dancing in a minefield. Tang San just wanted to steal his soul guide refining technology, so when he encountered such an opportunity, he would naturally not let it go. The fifth soul skill, the Devil Eye Devouring World, was activated again. Bula, who had been controlled before, was now controlled by Yun Feng again. His eyes opened instantly and looked at the flames that were so close. Before Ma Hongjun could react, he directly summoned his martial soul and blocked it in front of him. Then he clasped his hands and grabbed Ma Hongjun, causing the burning flames to turn directly and come to Ma Hongjun's brothers. Boom! Ma Hongjun's mind was blank at this time. Looking at Bula's eyes, he seemed to have never thought that after suffering such a serious injury, he could wake up immediately. Didn't Zhao Wu say that he couldn't take care of himself for at least 3 months? What was going on now? But he didn't have time to think about it. The scorching flames instantly burned on his body. Before Tang San and the other 4 walked far, they heard a scream that didn't sound like a human voice. The 4 looked at each other and shook their heads helplessly. Ma Hongjun is he's already in that state, and he still wants to do such a thing. Tang San didn't think it was bad, but looked at everyone and said slowly, actually, what Ma Hongjun did was right. Not good. Tang San, you're not soft-hearted, are you? Zhao Wu looked at Tang San in confusion. Although Tang San was a little ugly and had a dull personality, he didn't look like a soft-hearted person. She still clearly remembered how Tang San looked when he used hidden weapons. Even Zhao Wuji suffered a lot. Tang San shook his head, looked at Zhao Wu and said directly, I mean, if you don't cut the grass at the root, it will grow again in the spring breeze. Huh? The eyes of the others looking at Tang San changed a little. Although they were all genius soul masters, they were only in their teens after all. When it came to killing people, I'm afraid only Zhao Wu could accept it. After all, it was a soul beast. No one expected Tang San to say such a thing. Tang San never forgot the records in the general outline of Xuanchen Baolu. Tang Sect Xuanchen Treasure Records General Guidelines. Article 3. If you are sure that your opponent is an enemy, as long as he has a way to kill him, do not show mercy. Otherwise it will only add to your troubles. If that wretched uncle named Bula doesn't die this time, he will probably not give up. After all, he has a spirit power of more than level 40. If he gathers his friends to take revenge, although he was beaten badly, his hearing is still there. In addition, he had a conflict with Ma Hongjun during the day, so he would definitely guess that it was Ma Hongjun who led people to do it. Tang San said these words not out of kindness, but to increase his influence in this small team. After all, Yun Feng finally went out, and with Zhao Wu by his side, he had to show off himself. But just when Tang San finished speaking, everyone looked at Tang San as if he were a monster. A voice suddenly rang out, Hey, Zhao Wu, Tang San, why are you still outside so late? After this, Zhao Wu's face suddenly showed a happy look. She was very familiar with this voice. Turning around, she looked directly at Yun Feng. She rushed over directly. Yun Feng, looking at the girl rushing over, Yun Feng smiled and opened his arms directly. Tang San stood aside like a clown, looking at Zhao Wu and Yun Feng. Yun Feng was deeply sorry for this, and even wanted to say something to Tang San. Buo is not suitable for you. Why don't you go to Gotham? With Tang San's ruthlessness, he can definitely make a name for himself in Gotham. Yun Feng, where have you been during this period? Why did you leave a note and leave? Facing Zhao Wu's inquiry, Yun Feng did not hide anything, and directly summoned his martial spirit in front of everyone. Then after Yun Feng summoned his martial spirit, everyone was dumbfounded, including some people who were strolling in the city at night, looking at the 5 bright soul rings on Yun Feng's martial spirit. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black! Exclamation mark. It was a 5-ring soul king! Exclamation mark. Chapter 155. How sad this is. When did this happen? Why didn't they have any news? Wasn't Yun Feng training with them during this period? Why did he become a soul king all of a sudden? He even got a soul ring. Is this too outrageous? The crowd around was the fastest to react. After all, they didn't know the reason for the incident, so they were not as shocked as Tang San and Zhao Wu. Fuck, how old is this boy? And he's already a soul king. Shut up. Call me Soul King. Some girls and young women had their eyes sparkling and their legs rubbing after seeing Yun Feng's appearance and strength. It was obvious that they were already muddy. It's normal for this world to admire the strong, so a series of pictures flashed in his mind. Yun Feng saw that something was wrong, smiled awkwardly, and took back his martial spirit. Looking at Zhao Wu in his arms, he said directly, "What's wrong? Are you dumbfounded?" Zhao Wu nodded subconsciously after hearing what Yun Feng said. Well, in fact, this would be the case for anyone. Actually, Yun Feng didn't know nothing, but if you don't return to your hometown, you will be like a rich man walking at night. If you don't show off now, when will you show off? As for what bad consequences will it bring, Yun Feng has thought about it. It's nothing more than the investigation of major forces. But with his own system, what can he find out? As for assassinating geniuses, it's not impossible, but it's very small. There is such a big secret in himself. If you don't figure it out, who would be willing to assassinate him? Of course, Yun Feng didn't show off intentionally. Now it's night time, and it's only a moment for him to show his martial spirit. Just when Yun Feng was thinking about this, Zhao Wu suddenly said, "Yun Feng, are you going to get the 5th spirit ring? When did you get promoted? How come we don't know anything? And why don't you ask us to go together?" Zhao Wu has too many questions. After hearing these questions from Zhao Wu, Tang San and others nodded in unison. But after Yun Feng looked around, he obviously did not continue on this topic, but directly said, "I asked you something before, you haven't said it yet. Why are you here?" Zhao Wu did not hesitate after hearing this, and directly said the purpose of this trip. After hearing this, Yun Feng smiled, and then said to everyone, "What about Ma Hongjun? Why don't I see him? I thought the cry I heard was from him before." Yun Feng's half-joking words made Tang San and others look at each other. That's right. Where is Ma Hongjun? Even if he wants to take revenge, it won't take so long. What is he doing? Then after thinking about it carefully, he instantly realized that something was wrong. He hurriedly ran towards the chicken coop before. Then when he arrived at the place, he found that Buluk had disappeared. Only Ma Hongjun, who was holding his trouser pocket, kept crawling on the ground. His eyes were red and full of bloodshot. None of the chickens around dared to come forward. The murderous aura emanating from Ma Hongjun now was really terrifying. It was as if he had the hatred of killing himself and stealing his wife. After everyone looked at each other, Daimabai asked directly, "Fatty, what's wrong with you?" When Ma Hongjun saw the person coming, tears suddenly flowed from his eyes, and then he seemed to think of something, and said quickly to Daimabai and others, "Boss Dai, everyone, please help me catch Bula and kill him." Ma Hongjun said the last few words as if he was biting his teeth. Obviously, this hatred has reached an indescribable point. When Yun Feng saw this scene, he almost laughed in his heart. Let you be wild. Yun didn't know why, but always felt that his benefactor seemed a little perverted. There are too many ways to torture people. Daimabai and others naturally couldn't refuse Ma Hongjun's request now, so they could only start looking around. But Bula, who had long been controlled by Yun Feng, had already run away. It's not that Yun Feng is kind and doesn't want to kill Bula. It's just that it's completely meaningless here. After all, he is a soul sect, and he can discuss these people and Shrek in the future. Keeping him is more useful than killing him. Daimabai and the others, who had been searching for a long time without any results, also gave up completely. After receiving the news, Ma Hongjun cried out sadly until Bula ran away. "My little bird," then he fainted. Shrek Academy, Dean's Office. Now gang, although I don't want to disturb you from teaching our little monsters, I have to tell you with regret that the little money of the Academy has been spent by you. Flanders said this helplessly, and his face was also gloomy. As a powerful soul saint, he was controlled by money because of his own arrogance. How sad it is. Originally, according to normal expenses, the tuition fees paid by the students were enough to support their study for a school year. There would even be some surplus. But Yao Gang's teaching method was extremely alternative. Not only did the food expenses increase significantly, but the medicines he mixed into the food and the bath water for the students every day were even more expensive. Only 3 months have passed, and Shrek Academy has no surplus of the tuition fees collected this year. If Yun Feng knew about Shrek's financial expenditure, he would probably laugh. The tuition for 8 people is 800 gold soul coins. The food for more than a dozen people, plus some medicinal materials, has not yet spent 800 gold soul coins in 3 months. And that's not even including the teacher's salary. If you think about it, the tuition spent on Yunfeng and others should be 500 gold soul coins. But these 500 gold soul coins were originally used to support Yunfeng and others' learning expenses for a year. No wonder the graduation rate of Shrek Academy is so low. A piece of clothing on Ingrong costs more than 500 gold soul coins. And Flanders and others actually want to use these gold soul coins to cultivate a genius who can stand on his own. This is more capital than a capitalist. Not to mention that this is the cost of cultivating a genius. It was only after Yao Gang came that the expenses were incurred. It is conceivable that the geniuses who originally joined Shrek Academy could not graduate in the end. How sad this is. Even if it were placed in any other force, it would not let the pearl be covered in dust. Yao Gang nodded, still with his eternally stiff expression. Although he was very contemptuous in his heart, he still said lightly, "I know." Flanders smiled bitterly and said, "You know, you have to come up with a solution." Yao Gang looked at Flanders in front of him and was really speechless, but there was no other way now, so he said directly, "After these 7 days of repair, I will take them to the second stage of training. You don't have to worry about it. I will take care of the cost issue." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 Family Members, Who Understands? After spending so little money, the Academy declared bankruptcy. Yao Gang, family, who knows, a few hundred gold soul coins can make the Academy bankrupt. Flanders sighed and said, "If it weren't for these children being so outstanding, I really don't want to keep going." The days when we traveled around the continent together are still the most exciting. Yao Gang showed a brief absence, and then a trace of memories was evoked. Maybe, one day we will repeat the happiness of the past. Flanders couldn't help asking, "Yao Gang, how are you going to teach these children in the next stage? Should you take it easy? They have suffered a lot in the past 3 months. After all, they are only in their teens. As the saying goes, too much hardness will break easily, so don't go too far." Yao Gang's expression returned to his normal state. "Since you have handed these children to me, you can only choose to trust me completely. I know my limits." Soto City. Dark alley. Bula, who was limp on the ground, was still twitching. At this time, he had woken up from a coma. This was his 3rd time to wake up. The first 2 times, the moment he woke up, he was brought back into darkness by the extremely intense pain all over his body. Gritting his teeth and enduring the pain, Bula forced his eyes open. The smell of burning kept hitting his sense of smell. What made him most desperate was his unconscious lower body. He knew that his life might be over. He wanted to move, but he could only barely move. His limbs were completely dislocated, and even his elbows and knees were dislocated. At least 5 ribs were broken. At least 2 cervical vertebrae were dislocated. When Yunfeng was controlling Bula, he did not free Bula from Ma Hongzhou's flames, so he now also has a roast chicken. And after the control ended, consciousness returned. The pain in his body is naturally impossible to eliminate. And all of this is based on Zhao Wu's mercy. Otherwise, he would not just be dislocated. Although Zhao Wu's soul power is not pure enough to break his bones without dying, but the pain of dislocation of the whole body is even more unbearable. Even if he recovers in the future, he will still have hidden injuries. At this moment, a series of footsteps sounded, gradually approaching this side. The madam of the henhouse said that Bula brought a little girl here. This guy, could it be that he met some top-notch girl and ate it all by himself? The speaker had a very magnetic and deep voice, a standard baritone. If you just listen to the voice, I'm afraid it will have an irresistible attraction to women over 30 years old. This guy insisted on acting alone, and now he wants us to find him. Old goose, you are here today. It's not bad. especially the girl in stockings. Just looking at it makes people drool. If the first voice is extremely pleasant, then the second voice is the other extreme, hoarse like the call of a drake, plus the obscene content in it. It immediately gives people a disgusting feeling of falling into a pile of flies. Hearing these two voices, Bula, who was in a semi-comatose state, suddenly perked up. Fortunately, his mandible was not dislocated. He urged the soul power that he had barely gathered and shouted, "Old goose, Tanya, I'm here." The two voices that were chatting suddenly stopped. With a burst of hurried footsteps, two figures soon came to Bula. You are Bula?" the pleasant baritone said in disbelief. With the moonlight, it can be seen clearly that this person is tall, with broad and solid shoulders. Although his long hair is a little messy, it has a bit of wildness. The most eye-catching thing is his eyes. Those are a pair of extremely small eyes. It seems that there is only a slit. If you look at it from the front, it is difficult to tell whether he is open or closed. In addition, the side effect of swollen eyelids makes it easy for people to ignore his pair of slits. This alone completely destroys his perfect baritone. "Bula, how did you become like this?" Another person quickly came to Bula and squatted down. Although his face showed a solemn expression, his appearance was more wretched than Bula and the baritone. In short, except for his normal head, there was basically nothing normal about him. He was so thin that only bones were left. His eyes were big, but the eyeballs were yellow, flashing a gloomy light. His two whiskers trembled while he spoke, and the crow's feet at the corners of his eyes could at least kill flies in a class at the same time. The two people who appeared in front of Bula looked about the same age as him. At this time, they had put away the playful expressions on their faces and looked solemn. The thin and wretched men quickly stroked Bula's body with both hands, and from time to time he burst out a few swear words. There was a bit more red in his yellow eyes. What a fierce method! Bula is in a bad situation this time. Not only are his limbs dislocated, but he also has 5 broken ribs, 4 fractured ribs, and 3 fractured cervical vertebrae. He will not be able to recover for several months. Most importantly, Bula's thing is cooked. Cooked? Tanya, what do you mean by cooked? The baritone known as the old goose was surprised. The wretched and thin man Tanya smiled bitterly. Didn't you smell the smell of roasted chicken? Bula suffered a huge loss this time. Bones can be easily recovered, but this roasted chicken. As he spoke, Tanya raised his right hand, and with a beautiful green light flashing, a sharp blade appeared in his hand, and at the same time, there appeared a full 5 soul rings, 1 white, 2 yellow, and 2 purple. Although the soul ring attributes are ordinary, he is a real soul king above level 50. The sharp blade in his hand is a broken blade, which seems to be broken at the waist. The blade is about 4 fingers wide, and it is 1 foot and 2 inches long from the handle to the broken end. The handle is 8 inches long, and the whole body is flashing green light. It turned out to be a combat soul master with a weapon spirit. Bula, I'm sorry, if you don't cut it off quickly, it might get worse. A green light flashed, and the blade fell down. With a puff, something seemed to fall to the ground. Strangely, Bula didn't make a sound, but tears of humiliation and resentment flowed from his eyes. I want revenge. I want revenge. I want to make them live a life worse than death. The 7-day break passed quickly, and it was time to start classes again. Since the day when a few people secretly went out to abuse the wretched Uncle Bula, a few days later, they gradually forgot about it. Because of the existence of Yunfeng and Ma Hongjun, the entire academy was very busy during these 7 days. Yunfeng brought good things, but Ma Hongjun's injury completely emptied Flanders' small treasury. Now Shrek Academy can be said to be clanking. Even thieves are unwilling to come. Flanders, who had no choice, could only shamelessly borrow some money from Dai Mabai. Chapter 157. Why are you so shameless? After all, Shrek is now completely in financial deficit. It can't pay any expenses for Ma Hongjun, let alone the meals for the next day. In order to avoid this awkward atmosphere, they can only ask the students to borrow money, and this move also made everyone in Shrek speechless again. But they didn't say anything. It's just that Ningrong and Zhuzukin fell into deep doubt. Is this really right? Is it really right for them to come here? But when this idea came up, they looked at Yunfeng and suppressed their thoughts. Moreover, Compared with the income problem of Shrek Academy, everyone is obviously more concerned about Yun Feng's strength. This time Yun Feng's huge improvement also made Yu Gang completely excited. His eyes were full of madness. Flender, see, since I came here, Yun Feng's strength has directly achieved a leapfrog growth. My method is effective. Flender didn't know what to say to his old brother. It's not like he didn't watch here. He was on the scene in almost every training session, and now he is saying this. Is Yun Feng's improvement in strength really related to Yu Gang? He is skeptical about this. After all, Yun Feng did not show his strength at all under Yu Gang's training. And let's not talk about whether Yun Feng has made any progress. Just looking at the other people in Shrek Academy, there is no such obvious change. If it is a question of talent, it is obviously impossible. Here, Yun Feng's talent is actually the lowest. There is no doubt about this. After all, the innate soul power test of the Spirit Hall will not go wrong. Yun Feng's innate soul power is level 1, which is only a little higher than Yu Gang. Dawu, Tang San and Oscar are all innate full soul power. Even the lowest Zhuzukin has a level 7 innate soul power. But the improvement of these people, added together, is not as great as Yun Feng alone. But looking at his old brother like this, Flanders couldn't hit him. He could only whisper in agreement. Thanks to you, Yu Gang. If it weren't for you, I don't know how Shrek would continue to operate, let alone teach students. As expected, after hearing Flanders' words, Yu Gang's eyes unconsciously flashed with a hint of pride. Obviously, Flanders' words touched his heart. Compared with Flanders' words that went against his conscience, Dawu snorted disdainfully. It's true that Yun Feng is a demon, but it doesn't mean that Yu Gang taught well. It's just that Dawu didn't say this directly. He still has to give Flanders some face. After all, he now knows the position of Yu Gang in Flanders' heart. Compared with Yu Gang, Tang San and others have not fully recovered in the past few days. They even began to think about life. What's the meaning of their hard work and cultivation? After working so hard for so long, why can't they eat and drink as fast as others? Yun Feng's appearance even hit them so hard that they didn't want to practice anymore. There were no surprises. Apart from Zhuzukin, everyone else was like this. Zhuzukin knew that her talent was not very good. Compared with other people in Shrek Academy, she was only the lowest talent, and she was under pressure, so she had no time to complain. The appearance of Yun Feng gave her the motivation to move forward. However, soon, everyone recovered from the blow. After all, the holiday was over. Even if they were unhappy and envious, they had no time to think about these things. You have to know that although Yu Gang's training was not stressful for Yun Feng, it was still quite torturous for other people in Shrek. If Yu Gang was annoyed, he might increase the intensity of the training. Although they were not very scared, after Yun Feng's stimulation, everyone still wanted to become stronger. The sun rose, and after Yun Feng finished making breakfast, he called Ning Rong Narong, Zhuzukin and Dawu to eat together. The bell of the academy rang on time. Several people went to the playground together. Today's sunshine is particularly bright. The sky is blue and cloudless. Although it is still early morning, the light already feels a bit scorching. Yu Gang's shadow was stretched by the sunlight. He stood there with his arms folded in front of his chest, waiting for the others to stand. It has been 3 months since I came here to teach you. With the supervision and help of the teachers, your body has laid some foundation, but it is still far from enough to become an excellent spirit master. After hearing this, Yun Feng knew instantly that Yu Gang was pretending again, but he did not interrupt him. Anyway, no one here believed him except Tang San. Seeing that no one refuted, Yu Gang smiled with great satisfaction in his heart, and then directly set his eyes on Yun Feng. After a while, he slowly said, "Before that, Yun Feng wants to ask you a question." Yun Feng looked at Yu Gang, and after hearing this, he smiled and said directly, "You can say it." After Yu Gang pondered for a while, he looked at Yun Feng with a very deep gaze. "What level of soul power have you reached now?" Yun Feng thought it was something else when he heard this, so he said directly, "Level 52. After hearing what Yun Feng said, Yu Gang's pupils shrank significantly. After absorbing the soul ring, he directly reached level 52. You know, The soul power level behind is not easy to improve. Each level requires a lot of time to prepare. And Yunfeng, I have been here for so long, and I have never seen Yunfeng practice seriously. How did he do it? When thinking of this, Yu Gang's eyes showed a strong desire to explore. He really wanted to know what happened to Yunfeng that caused Yunfeng to upgrade so quickly. If he could get it, wouldn't it be wonderful? After hesitating for a while, Yu Gang's mouth suddenly curved a little. Then Yunfeng, can you tell me the reason why you upgraded so quickly, so that they can learn from it? If Yunfeng couldn't understand what Yu Gang said, he could almost die. Obviously, isn't this trying to get something for free? He was embarrassed to ask, so he talked about other people in the academy want to use moral kidnapping. It is obvious that Yunfeng's guess is correct. The next sentence is, as classmates, why not make progress together? After this, everyone also noticed something wrong, but they couldn't put it into words. It felt weird. Ning Rong was the first to react. After all, she had been influenced by it since she was a child, and she knew what was going on as soon as she heard some things. She stood up directly, looked at Yu Gang and said quickly, why are you so shameless? Chapter 158 is simply ridiculous. After these words came out, the whole process was silent. Even Yunfeng and Yu Gang did not expect Ning Rong to stand up, but Ning Rong's output did not end. Although she was not keen on these things, but her father had done such things many times. When she did not understand before, she directly asked Ning Fengzi, and she still remembered what Ning Fengzi said. As a force, sometimes, it is not necessary to plunder other people's things by force. There are rules for everything. Although we have the strength to break the rules, if we do so, our reputation will be completely stinky. So sometimes, if you want to get what you want, you can use your power to suppress others and ask for it from the perspective of righteousness and justice. Ning Rong realized it instantly after hearing what Yu Gang said. Isn't this an excuse that Yu Gang found to get Yunfeng's cultivation method? Although she also cares about it, Yunfeng is one of her few friends. She does not want to use this method to obtain the fruits of others' labor. Even she doesn't know how Yunfeng upgraded so quickly. Tang San was stunned for a moment. After seeing his teacher being insulted, he stood up with an angry face and scolded, Ning Rong, what are you talking about? Why don't you apologize quickly? The teacher is doing this for our own good. He is not as bad as you think. After hearing what Tang San said, Ning Rong's eyes were full of disdain. Not as bad as I thought. Then why would you ask such a question? After saying this, Tang San also fell silent. Obviously, he knew what Ning Rong meant, but he also had his own plans in his heart. Yunfeng's success obviously made him a little jealous. It's just that he was a little reluctant to admit it in his heart. He didn't want to admit that he was weaker than Yunfeng. If he admitted it, how could he win Bao Wu's heart? At this time, Yu Gang saw that his disciples didn't say anything, and his face suddenly turned livid. Just when he was about to open his mouth to scold, he thought of Ning Rong's background. According to Flanders, Ning Rong had also confronted him before. After thinking about his own strength, Yu Gang wanted to speak, but he was instantly out of breath. He could only laugh awkwardly, and then explained uncomfortably, no, I'm just curious, how could I plagiarize other people's knowledge? To be honest, Yunfeng really couldn't help it. The famous knowledge plagiarist, theoretical master Yu Gang, knowledge tailor, he actually said that he would not plagiarize other people's knowledge. It was simply ridiculous. Yunfeng couldn't help laughing, and Yunfeng's laughter also attracted everyone's attention. But it was hard to say anything. After all, they all wanted to get Yunfeng's cultivation method in their hearts. But after Yunfeng finished laughing, he directly returned to seriousness. Actually, it's nothing. You should all know that I eat and sleep and eat, and I have never practiced at all. But my soul power has been increasing all the time, so I don't have any method to share. After seeing that Yunfeng did not continue this topic, Yu Gang immediately relaxed a lot. Although he did not think that Yunfeng's words were true, but in this atmosphere, Yu Gang couldn't help but look up to him for being able to help him out. After hearing Yunfeng's words, Ning Rong didn't say anything. Even though she still had some opinions about Yao Gang, she just crossed her arms and looked at Yao Gang with an unhappy face. Yun Feng naturally noticed this scene. After showing Ning Rongrong a smile, he shook his head. Ning Rongrong saw Yun Feng like this, and instantly understood what it Yun Feng meant. After seeing this scene, Yao Gang sighed helplessly, and then said directly, "Okay, I was wrong just now, let's start the class. From today, I will teach you the second stage." I heard from Flanders that you have all been to the Soto Grand Fighting Soul Arena. It will be your place of teaching for the next period of time. There is no time limit for this teaching. When you get the Silver Fighting Soul badge, the training will end. During this period, I will arrange for you to live in the hotel closest to the Grand Fighting Soul Arena. All food and accommodation are self-provided. As long as you have the ability, the income you get from the Grand Fighting Soul Arena will be very considerable. After Yao Gang said this, Yun Feng immediately raised an objection. "Master, I am now a Soul King. How can you let me participate in the competition? As far as I know, there seem to be very few Soul Masters of this level in Soto City." Yun Feng's words instantly made Yao Gang not know what to say. Sometimes, the strength of the students is too strong, and he can't start teaching. After Yao Gang pondered for a while, he forced a smile and said, "You can also register and wait for contestants to come, but you can lower your requirements a bit. There is no need to obtain the Silver Fighting Spirit." After hearing this, Yun Feng nodded. In fact, Yun Feng was not completely without the opportunity to obtain the Silver Fighting Spirit. It was just that Yun Feng's method, he didn't know if it would work. The others also breathed a sigh of relief. Going to the big Fighting Spirit field to participate in the Fighting Spirit was much easier than Yao Gang's devilish training. After Yao Gang solved Yun Feng's problem, he said again, "But you must remember that getting the Silver Soul Fighting Badge is not only in one-on-one soul fighting, but also in team battles. You will fight under the team name of the Shrek 7 Devils. Team battles not only allow everyone to get personal points, but also team points, which is not available in 2-on-2 soul fighting. Of course, if you want to get the title of Silver Soul Fighting faster, you can also freely form a group to participate in 2-on-2 soul fighting. I won't stop you, but I have a few restrictions that you must remember. First, you must not reveal your appearance or tell your opponent your name during the soul fighting. Everything must be fought under code names. Second, no one, including Yun Feng and Tang San, is allowed to use hidden weapons. Third, regardless of the outcome, everyone must fight at least twice a day. Oscar complained, "Master, Rongrong and I are auxiliary soul masters. Do we have to get the Silver Soul Fighting Badge?" Yao Gang had also regained his calmness at this time. He looked at Oscar and said slowly, "Or, you can choose to train like before until others get the Silver Fighting Spirit Badge." Master, I suddenly realized that your decision to have us go to the Fighting Spirit Arena to compete to improve our practical experience is so wise. Just pretend I didn't say anything just now." Ning Rongrong originally wanted to ask the same question, but Oscar had already finished speaking and did not continue. Chapter 159 Yun Feng, please do as you please. After Yao Gang finished speaking, he asked all of the students to pack up their luggage and immediately took them out to Soto Academy. They were accompanied by the students' old acquaintances, the two original deans of the academy, Four-Eyed Cat Al Flanders and Akala Wuji. The other three teachers stayed at the academy. Flanders could not help but secretly admire the master's decision. The students lived in Soto City and all the food and lodging expenses were self-paid. Naturally, the academy would not have the pressure of management, and he, Wuji and the master could live in his shop. Every day, he could still supervise the students' actual combat progress. The fighting spirit competitions in the Great Fighting Spirit Arena were held at night. When the group arrived in Soto City, they first chose an ordinary hotel near the Great Fighting Spirit Arena to stay. Because it was adjacent to the Great Fighting Spirit Arena, although the room price was ordinary, it was twice as expensive as other places. Of course, for these students who had a monthly income of at least 10 gold coins, or even hundreds of gold coins, it was not a burden. After all, there were not many places as extremely expensive as the Rose Hotel. After arranging the students to stay, Yu Zhao Gang called everyone to the lobby outside the hotel. Now you can form groups freely to decide which kind of fighting spirit competition to participate in. The big fighting spirit field usually starts with 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 competitions. Although the team battle is separate from the first two, it starts later. It is also the most attractive battle for the audience in the big fighting spirit field. The time is staggered, and it can also earn more ticket fees from viewers. Every day you must participate in a team battle, and the other one can be freely chosen. I don't object if you are willing to participate in 3 games, provided that you have a good grasp of your soul power. As for Yunfeng, it's up to you. Your strength has exceeded too much. The main reason is that he doesn't know how to arrange Yunfeng. Yunfeng didn't have too many ideas about this. After all, compared with other people, the way he becomes stronger is not here. But it is worth mentioning that the big fighting spirit field is indeed a good place to gain practical experience. After Yunfeng stroked Zhao Wu's head standing next to him, his eyes were full of helplessness. But he didn't say anything. In fact, this big fighting soul arena is basically a competition between some great soul masters and soul masters. There are basically no competitions beyond soul masters. After all, other people are not fools. Generally, most soul masters who can cultivate to this level will not lack this little money. This will only happen when you need to release pressure or verify your own strength. But whether you can make an appointment is hard to say. After all, the number of soul masters in this world is extremely rare. It only accounts for 1% of the total population, or even less than 1%. After hearing this, everyone looked at Yunfeng and immediately became silent. They also want this kind of treatment, but they also know that it is impossible. After all, only a pervert like Yunfeng can't participate in the fighting soul competition because of his high strength. After a moment of silence, knowing that he and others could not escape, Oscar looked at Daimabai with a pitiful look. Boss Dai, why don't we join the 2-on-2 fight together? Although I have just reached level 30, my auxiliary ability should still be able to help you. Otherwise, I don't know when I can accumulate enough points to get the Silver Fighting Spirit badge. Daimabai was stunned for a moment. He originally wanted to invite Zhuzukin to join the 2-on-2 fighting spirit, after all, or he could join the 1-on-1 fighting spirit himself. Looking at Oscar's pleading eyes, after thinking about it, he nodded. Okay. Among the few people, except for Yunfeng, Daimabai and Tang San were obviously the strongest in terms of combat power. Oscar chose Daimabai right away, and Ning Rongrong's eyes immediately turned to Zhuzukin and Zhao Wu. But after thinking about Zhao Wu's strength, she shook her head. She didn't want to delay Zhao Wu. After all, she was only a great soul master now. But before Ning Rongrong could speak, Ma Hongjun, who may have been stimulated before, said directly to Ning Rongrong, "Rongrong, what do you think of me? I am willing to participate in a 2-on-2 with you." Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Ma Hongjun was extremely insecure now, so he couldn't wait to find someone. As for what his reason was, it was unknown. Anyway, it was not a good thing. Ning Rongrong just glanced at Ma Hongjun, and her eyes revealed a look of disdain. You'd better forget it." Ning Rongrong glared at the fat man unhappily. "You can't even take care of yourself, and you're still helping me." Yu Zhao Gang, who was standing aside, suddenly said, "No, I suggest that you should form a 1-on-2 combination with Ma Hongjun." Ning Rongrong asked in confusion, "Why?" Yu Zhao Gang directly stated his reason. He is already level 28. And his martial spirit has a big advantage. With your help, the chance of winning can reach more than 70%. Ning Rongrong originally thought that Yu Zhao Gang had some great insights. "With my help, do you think I will lose in a soul fight like this? Is it not possible for Zukin and I to fight together?" After saying this, Yu Zhao Gang didn't know what to say again. After a long while, he left a sentence. "It's up to you. I just gave my professional opinion." But Ning Rongrong sneered at this explanation. No longer paying attention to Yu Zhao Gang, she turned her head and looked at Zhuzukin. "Zuking, let's cooperate." "Okay." Zhuzukin's answer was simple. "How to participate in the soul fight is up to you. This is for you. Each of you, wear it when fighting, and at the same time, talk less on the stage, and try not to let your opponent know your age." As he spoke, Yu Gang took out 8 masks that he had prepared long ago from his soul guide bracelet. Everyone is familiar with the appearance of the mask. It is the symbol of Shrek Academy, the image of the green monster Shrek. Diamondbai took a mask and put it on his face. Although the craftsmanship of the mask is average, it is not a problem to expose the eyes, mouth and nose after fitting with the face. But Ningrong was obviously not happy to see this style of mask. Just when she wanted to say something, Yunfeng took out the mask he bought in Soto City from his storage soul guide. He handed it directly to Zhao Wu, Ningrong and Zhuzuking. Then he said to Tang San and others apologetically, "I only bought these few, sorry." Although Yu Gang had some complaints about Yunfeng's actions, he still didn't say anything. After all, he knew that he couldn't suppress these monsters. Chapter 160 Commander? When participating in the team battle, Yunfeng, you should not go. After all, your strength will cause great trouble to others, and it will lead to no games to play. After all, it is difficult to put together a team with the Soul King. Yunfeng had no objection to Yu Gang's words, although he also wanted to verify his current strength. It was obviously not the right time. After seeing that Yunfeng had no objection, Yu Gang said again, "You will be a combination of the Shrek 7 devils. When participating in your own individual soul fighting, you can come up with your own titles for the 2-on-2 battles. For the 1-on-1 battles, I have thought of a nickname for each of you. You can use this nickname to compete. As long as you explain it when you sign up, your real name will not appear in the soul fighting field. Everyone can still understand what the master means. After all, they are too young, especially someone like Yunfeng, who has reached the Soul King at the age of 12. It is simply a depth bomb in the Soul Master world. The same is true for Tang San and Zhao Wu. Although they are a little worse than Yunfeng, they have reached the 30th level of Soul Master at the age of 12. It is shocking to take any one of them out in the Soul Master world, especially once he becomes famous in the great fighting spirit arena. I'm afraid the Spirit Hall will be the first to come to him. Yu Gang still has some conscience for the hope that Flanders has finally gathered. Oscar asked curiously, "What should we use as our titles?" After thinking about it, Yu Gang said casually, "Mu Bei will use his original evil-eyed white tiger. You will still be your sausage specialty. And as for Hao San, let's call him Compound Eyes Thousand Hands. What do you think?" "This is good. This is good. It fits Tang San's characteristics very well." Yu Gang looked at Tang San, and seeing that he did not express any opinions, he couldn't help but smile. Yu Gang has always been very satisfied with his disciple. Then it's settled. As for Ma Hongjun, I've also given you a title. How about calling it Phoenix Rising from the Ashes? Anyway, you don't have any evil fire on you now. After hearing this name, Ma Hongjun subconsciously looked down at himself and immediately felt bad. But he didn't say anything, but his whole person became emo. Yu Gang also realized that he had said the wrong thing, but it was impossible for him to apologize. So he turned his head and looked at Zhao Wu. "You use soft skills. Your whole body is soft as if you have no bones, plus your rabbit martial spirits and charm skills. Why not call it the soft bone charming rabbit? It sounds good." Zhao Wu smiled happily. Wrong's martial spirit is the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. There is nothing better than the 7 treasures glazed pagoda to describe you. At the same time, it can also cover up your true self. After all, the martial spirits of your direct disciples of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda are all this. As for Zhu King, it is most appropriate to use her martial spirit as a name. The Netherworld Spirit Cat is a good name in itself. After listening to everyone, Zhao Wu also looked at Yu Gang and asked, "What about Yunfeng? What is Yunfeng's name?" After hearing this, Yu Gang was stunned. What is Yunfeng's name? It is indeed a difficult problem. After all, Yunfeng's martial spirit is the same as his own disciple, and with Yunfeng's talent, it is really difficult to come up with a suitable name for him. In fact, to be honest, even Yunfeng himself doesn't care much about this thing. After all, it's just a nickname. However, seeing the deceitful eyes of Zhao Wu, Ningrong and Zhuzuking, Yunfeng still didn't have the nerve to say forget it. After a while, seeing that Yu Gang really couldn't say anything, everyone gave up hope. At this time, Ning Rongrong suddenly had an idea and looked at Yun Feng directly and said, "Why not call me commander? Anyway, you are the strongest on our side." Yun Feng didn't care much, but after hearing this title, he still felt a little strange. Zhao Wu and Zhu Zuqing agreed with this title. Only Tang San and others had question marks on their faces. Question marks, so they suddenly became soldiers. But after all, it was just a title, and everyone didn't bother about it. In order to keep themselves in the best condition, everyone stayed in the hotel to practice their soul power and wait for the night to come. Now several people are at the iron fighting spirit level. After all, they didn't participate much. More or less, they only had a few points. As for Yun Feng, it was 0. There was no opponent at all. However, from the iron fighting spirit to the bronze fighting spirit, 100 points are required, and then to the silver fighting spirit, 1000 points. They still have a long way to go to reach the goal of the second stage of special training, because Dima Bai, Ma Hongjun, and Zhu Zuqing are already high level in the same level, and their own martial spirits are excellent. They all decided to participate in a one-on-one soul fight first, and then a two-on-two fight. At this time, Oscar's role is fully demonstrated. With his big sausage as a supply, everyone's soul power and physical strength can be effectively replenished, which has a greater advantage than ordinary soul masters participating in soul fights. Therefore, even if they participate in 3 soul fights in one night, it is not impossible. The premise is not to consume too much soul power in the previous soul fights. Tang San and Zhao Wu's third soul skills can be said to be top-grade soul skills, so even though they have just broken through level 30, they still decided to participate in a one-on-one soul fight. Tang San even defeated Dima Bai before, so he naturally has a lot of confidence. And Zhao Wu's special ability that makes it difficult for the opponent to resist as long as she gets close also makes her full of confidence. Zhao Wu's weaknesses and strengths are equally obvious. Her advantage is that she is invincible at close range of similar levels, but her weakness is that she can only face one opponent at a time. Once there are many opponents, it will be difficult for her to exert her strength. And when the opponent's strength exceeds the power of her waist bow, all her skills will become completely useless. As for Oscar and Ning Rongrong, they can only wait for everyone to participate in the one-on-one fighting spirit before cooperating with them in the two-on-two fighting spirit. Night falls. The Soto Great Fighting Spirit Arena repeats the excitement of every night. The bustling crowd began to gather here from all directions. As the most traditional and most popular entertainment, there are many spectators here every day. The rich can get the ultimate enjoyment here, and even the poor civilians can also watch the Soul Masters competition. Since the Great Fighting Spirit Arena has some special tickets for civilians, the price is very low, so as long as the people who can meet their food and clothing are willing to come here to watch the Soul Master competition. After all, just being able to see the Soul Master can satisfy the vanity of most civilians. Of course, because they have low-priced tickets, they can only see some ordinary fighting spirit competitions. The truly wonderful fighting spirit is definitely expensive. Soto City is also full of wealthy people who spend lavishly. In addition, the betting place hosted by the Great Fighting Spirit Arena is also a place where the rich and nobles secretly fight each other. Chapter 161 Fighting Spirit. At this time, the time for the routine soul fighting in the big soul fighting field is very close. Soon, the one-on-one and two-on-two outer soul fighting will begin. When these two soul fightings are over, the most exciting team battle will be staged. Yun Feng didn't care much, but he thought that he had nowhere to go, so he stayed. He already knew that he couldn't play in this competition. He just asked the person in charge of the Soto Big Soul fighting field. He said that there was no Soul King level battle, so Yun Feng had no choice. He could only watch Zhao Wu and the others compete. When everyone came to the soul fighting field, the place had been divided. They came to the 13th soul fighting field. According to the original plan, everyone signed up with their iron soul fighting badges one after another. Under the guidance of Yu Gang, The 5 people who participated in the 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 soul fighting at the same time explained that they wanted to participate in both games at the same time when they registered in the 2 areas. The staff arranged their soul fighting at a certain time so that the 2 soul fighting games would not overlap. At the same time, everyone changed the names on their Iron Fighting Spirit badges, hiding their real names and using the titles they had chosen during the day. Just changing the name cost them 10 gold soul coins each. However, since they did not need to register again this time, the cost was only this much. As long as they won a fighting spirit, they could earn back the expenses. Zhao Wu had no other choice. After all, there were only 3 people who reached the level of Soul Master. One was herself, one was Tang San, and the other was Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai's soul power level was too high, and Tang San was her childhood friend, so Zhao Wu directly invited Tang San to form a team. Tang San and Zhao Wu chose to participate in the 2-on-2 fighting spirit first, and then participate in the 1-on-1, and naturally separated from the other 5. Oscar and Ning Rong had to wait until Dai Mubai and Zhu Zuqing finished participating in the 1-on-1 fighting spirit, so they went to Area 1 first. Flanders and Zhao Wuji followed the larger group into the 1-on-1 fighting spirit area, and Yu Gang followed Tang San and Zhao Wu to the 2-on-2 fighting spirit area. Since there was still a fighting spirit competition to come, the 35 combinations 2-on-2 fighting spirit was arranged to be held in the second match of the 2-on-2 area of the 13 fighting spirit areas. Soon, it was their turn to play. Yun Feng sat on the viewing platform, sitting with many spectators. Today was the weekend for ordinary people, so there were a lot of spectators in the big fighting spirit area. These fighting spirit areas were mostly populated by ordinary civilians, who were already excited by the first fighting spirit, and shouts were heard one after another. Tang San and Zhao Wu were naturally not famous, and when they walked onto the stage at the host's announcement, they did not win much applause. Next, let us invite the opponent of the 35 combination, the Cat and Mouse combination, who have won 4 consecutive victories in the 2-on-2 fighting spirit. With their strong strength, they have achieved unprecedented success in the Soul Master level competition. If they can defeat today's opponent, the 35 combination, then they will complete 5 consecutive victories. Perhaps, the next time they appear in the Soto Big Fighting Spirit Arena, they will enter the Central Fighting Spirit area, which is a great honor for fighting spirits. Cat and Mouse combination? Hearing these 4 words, Zhao Wu smiled subconsciously and glanced at Yun Feng on the stands. Although they couldn't see each other's expressions through the masks, they still saw some smiles in each other's eyes. From the name of the other team, it can be judged that today's opponents will be a pair of spirit masters of the agility attack system. Both cats and mice are good at speed. As a control spirit master, Tang San happens to be the nemesis of agility attack spirit masters. With the opponent's level only 10 levels lower than their own, the two have already had a certain degree of confidence. Soon, amid a burst of warm cheers and applause, the opponents of the 3-5 combination boarded the fighting spirit stage. The 2 spirit masters who came up were a man and a woman. The woman had a slender figure and looked to be in her 20s. Her fiery red short hair was very eye-catching, her eyes were sharp, and her 10 fingers on both hands kept moving slightly. Seeing her action, Tang San immediately judged that this woman should be the cat in the cat and mouse combination, because Yu Gang once told him that for all cat-type martial spirits, 10-finger rhythm is a common action of spirit masters. The man was short, but to Tang San and Zhao Wu's surprise, he was actually very fat, even more exaggerated than Ma Hongjun. He looked like a big ball, with a round head and body. Only the squinting eyes gave people a bit of a mouse feeling. The thin cat and fat mouse gave people a funny feeling. The cat and mouse team stepped onto the fighting spirit stage and naturally observed Tang San and Zhao Wu on the opposite side. When they saw the masks on Tang San and Zhao Wu's faces, they couldn't help but be stunned. Although some soul masters participating in the fighting spirit will conceal their identities, it is still rare to wear masks like this. The thin cat girl snorted disdainfully. "Hide your head and show your tail," pretending to be mysterious. As the fighting spirit was about to begin, the emotions of the audience around the fighting spirit field had been fully mobilized. In such a warm atmosphere, The host did not dare to waste time and immediately announced the start of the second round of the 13th Fighting Spirit Field 2-on-2 Fighting Spirit. As the host said start, the cat and mouse team simultaneously activated their own soul power and their bodies transformed rapidly. After reaching level 30, when a beast soul master is performing spirit possession, the physical changes will be greater than before. Just as Tang San expected, the girl's spirit was a cat. The sharp blades on her fingertips popped out instantly. A few bright silver spots appeared on the red space on her head. Her pupils stood up, her upper body curled, her ears slightly erected. A layer of fine silver hair appeared on her arms, and 3 spirit rings, 1 white, 1 yellow, and 1 purple, shone at the same time. The 3rd spirit ring can reach the 1000-year level, and it is obvious that the spirit skills attached to the spirit ring of this girl are also quite good. As for the changes of the fat rat, it looked a little funny. Its mouth protruded and became pointed, with a few more whiskers, 2 huge teeth protruding under the upper lip, and a pair of small eyes changed from slits to round. The chubby body also crawled down, the 2 forearms became thinner, and black claws popped out from the fingertips. His 3 spirit rings were also 1 white, 1 yellow, and 1 purple. Seeing the other party showing his spirit, Tang San and Zhao Wu were not idle either. Zhao Wu jumped up skillfully, and stood firm on 1 foot on Tang San's blue-silver grass. The 2 of them activated their martial spirits at the same time. Long rabbit ears, white fur, longer legs and red eyes are all Zhao Wu's characteristics. Compared with before, she also has more fur on her arms, but it is finer than the opponent's thin cat. The same 2 yellow and 1 purple, a total of 6 spirit rings suddenly appeared on the 3-5 combination, which immediately caused an uproar among the audience on the sidelines. These audiences who often watch fighting spirit competitions are naturally very familiar with the spirit ring levels of spirit masters. Chapter 162. I can't think of any reason to lose. 200 years and 1000 years. In terms of spirit rings, the 35 combination clearly overwhelmed the opponent cat and mouse combination. The mentality of the audience who were very optimistic about the cat and mouse combination before suddenly changed, but the atmosphere became more enthusiastic. The more evenly matched the game is, the more interesting it is. The audience saw the strength of the spirit rings of the 35 combination. So how could the cat and mouse combination on the opposite side not see it? But the fighting spirit has begun, and they have to do it. The thin cat girl stretched out her body. Her legs flew rhythmically, and the whole person was like a whirlwind close to the ground, sweeping towards Tang San and Zhao Wu. The first 2 spirit rings on her body lit up at the same time. The claws in her hands swung out in an interlaced manner, and 10 bright silver claw shadows broke through the air and attacked the 2 people of the 35 combination at the same time. At the same time, her speed reached an extremely terrifying level, and the pressure brought by the spirit power instantly rose to the extreme. One of the 2 spirit skills is speed increase, and the other is claw attack. Although he didn't know the name, Tang San had made the right judgment. With a shrug of his shoulders, Zhao Wu on his shoulders had already taken advantage of the momentum to leap up into the air, and pounced directly at the fat rat behind him. Tang San, on the other hand, circled his hands in front of him, stepped on the ghost shadow, and used the crane control and dragon capture in his hand. He wanted to test how strong the opponent's spirit power was. The light and shadow flashed by, and Tang San's body was staggered. He was suddenly shocked in his heart. No wonder the cat and mouse combination could win 4 games in a row. The spirit power of the thin cat girl in front of him might have reached a level that was not weaker than Daima Bai. Fortunately, Tang San used the ghost shadow and the crane control and dragon capture at the same time. Not only did he avoid the front, but he also used his Xuan Gong internal force to deflect the opponent's attack. When Yun Feng saw this, he didn't want to watch it anymore. After all, with Tang San and Zhao Wu's abilities, there was no reason to lose in such a place. And the result was not beyond Yun Feng's expectations. The battle started quickly and ended even faster. It was so fast that the victory and defeat were decided in just a few blinks of an eye. In the audience cheering for the cat and mouse team suddenly became silent, and Zhao Wu did not feel much confrontation. However, She did not expect that today's fighting spirit would become so easy. She thought that this was exactly the reason for the mutual restraint of martial spirits. Whether it was Tang San's control system or her own close-range attack, they had a strong restraint on the agility attack system Spirit Master. Originally, she should have been restrained by the agility attack system Spirit Master, but now she has the skill of teleportation, which greatly makes up for her shortcomings. Caught off guard, the fat rat could not even release his 1000-year spirit ring skills, and was thrown out by her. Yun Feng sat in the audience and nodded slightly, very satisfied with Hao Wu's performance. After all, as a bystander, he saw it more clearly. In the previous few moments of fighting, Hao Wu's ability to respond and the combination with her own martial spirit were just right, and Yu Zhaogang could hardly suppress the corners of his mouth. Looking at his disciples, his eyes were full of relief. The reason why they easily defeated the team with stronger spirit power than them was not just because of the conflict between their spirits. The actual combat training they had conducted under his guidance over the past few months had already played a role. With the announcement of the host, the 35 team won 2 consecutive victories in the 2-on-2 spirit duel, and the scores of both of them rose to 3 points. Only then did the audience on the stage cheer again. Although the time of this spirit duel seemed particularly short, both Tang San's blue-silver grass and Hao Wu's teleportation opened the eyes of these ordinary people. The audience was fair and would not be stingy with their applause. The 35 team quietly left the stage amid the cheers. What awaited them was their own one-on-one spirit duels. Perhaps today was a lucky day for the Shrek team, as they had won all the one-on-one and 2-on-2 spirit duels. Among them, the team of Oscar and Diamond was named the double-winged white tiger by themselves, meaning that with the assistance of Zhao Ao, the evil-eyed white tiger was even more powerful. They encountered a combination of attack and defense spirit masters. With the help of Oscar's mushroom sausage, Daimobai's speed weakness was fully compensated. He sent one of the opponents off the fighting spirit stage at lightning speed. The subsequent competition was naturally without any suspense. Ning Rong and Zhu Zuking's combination was named the 7 Treasures Spirit Cat by them. When the opponent saw Ning Rong's 7 Treasures Glazed Tower, their fighting spirit had been greatly reduced. Facing a combination with auxiliary spirit masters, they should have attacked the opponent's auxiliary spirit masters first, but the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect, as one of the 7 major spirit master sects, was not something ordinary spirit masters were willing to offend. Therefore, the 2 spirit masters, who were also level 20, had to face Zhu Zuking, whose speed and strength suddenly increased by 30%. With the help of the 7 Treasures Glazed Tower, Zhu Zuking's strength had exceeded level 30, except that she did not have the 3rd spirit skill. With lightning speed, she dealt with the opponent without much trouble. 5 one-on-one matches and 3 2-on-2 matches ended in a perfect victory, which opened a perfect beginning for the Shrek people's fighting spirit journey. Of course, their fighting spirit today has not ended yet, and there is still one last match waiting for them to complete. The team battle venue is obviously much larger than the one-on-one and 2-on-2 matches, and the players' lounge is also particularly lively. There are at least more than 30 Soul Masters waiting here. In the entire Barak Kingdom, there are only 2 fighting spirit arenas of the size of the Soto Great Fighting Spirit Arena. One is here, and the other is the Barak Great Fighting Spirit Arena in the capital of the Barak Kingdom. It can be said that as long as the Soul Masters in the Barak Kingdom are willing to participate in the fighting spirit competition, almost all gather in these 2 cities. Otherwise there would not be so many Soul Masters here. According to the statistics of the Wuhan Hall, there are only 100,000 Soul Masters in the entire continent, of which there are only about 2,000 permanent Soul Masters in the Barak Kingdom. This shows how many Soul Masters the Great Fighting Spirit Arena can attract. Even Soul Masters of the same level as Flanders and Zhao Wuji, there are many who participate in the Soul Fighting competition, but generally they have to make an appointment. Because of their high level and strong strength, they can get considerable benefits from the Great Soul Fighting Arena. If Zhao Wuji didn't have many enemies and Flanders was not so self-righteous, they might have participated in the soul fighting competition in the case of the economic downturn of the academy. As Yu Zhaogang said, Tang San and the other 7 were arranged to be the second to last to appear. They did not go outside to watch the game. 4 of the 7 had experienced 2 soul fighting games, and their soul power had been consumed to a certain extent. Although Oscar's recovery sausage assisted, it was impossible for the soul power to be fully restored in a short time. Before it was their turn to appear, the 7 sat down in the corner to concentrate their soul power and prepare for the soul fighting later. Yun Feng was a little bored, very bored. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163. I admire you. I really admire you. After all, in Yun Feng's eyes, these battles were just like playing games with children. They were meaningless, and only those ordinary people without soul power were interested in watching them, and those soul masters whose soul power levels were not very good. In fact, soul masters with high soul power levels did not feel much when watching these soul battles. After all, the angles of standing were different, the angles of looking at things were different. Although Yun Feng had not participated in many soul battles, he was now a soul king. He was considered a senior to others. However, just as everyone was waiting to appear, a man over 2 meters tall and extremely strong suddenly walked towards them. This man looked to be in his 30s, with his upper body naked, revealing exaggerated dark muscles. Needless to say, he was also a power-type soul master. "Hey, little girl, you look good. Why are you covering your face? Let your brother take a look." The person he was talking to was Zhuzuking, who had the hottest figure among the girls in Shrek Academy. Although Zhuzuking was the youngest, her development made Ningrong and Zhao Wu secretly jealous. At this time, she covered her face with a mask, and it was impossible to tell that she was only a 12-year-old child. Get lost. Zhuzuking's answer was in line with her usual personality, with only one cold word. "You are shameless, aren't you? Little girl, do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that?" As he spoke, his big hand was raised. "She told you to get lost. Didn't you hear?" After hearing this, Yun Feng stood up and came to Zhuzuking. Although he was a few sizes smaller than the opponent in stature, the momentum he burst out instantly made the opponent stagnate. His steps became weak. But in front of so many people, he still forced himself to hold back the fear in his heart and shouted, "You are looking for death." The big man opened his fierce eyes, and suddenly swung his right hand down and slapped Daima Bai. Yun Feng snorted coldly, and his right fist met the opponent's palm from bottom to top. With a muffled bang, the big man's body flew backwards. But Yun Feng was not hurt at all, and even his feet did not move. An invisible killing intent was released directly from Yun Feng's body. Daima Bai and others also saw Yun Feng like this for the first time. Although they didn't tremble, they were still afraid. The Yun Feng in front of them was too unfamiliar. In fact, Yun Feng didn't know where the anger came from. When he saw Zhuzuking being teased, he couldn't help it. Although they were just in a situation where they had a good impression of each other, but it didn't prevent Yun Feng from seeing Zhuzuking as his future woman. The strong man over there was also completely dumbfounded at this time. Is this the team they are about to face? This strength is too terrifying. With just one punch, he couldn't feel the existence of his arm and completely lost consciousness. When he thought of this, he actually had no confidence in his heart. Zhao Wu, Zhuzuking and Ningrong would naturally not just stand there and watch after seeing Yun Feng fighting against others. After hesitating for a while, Tang San and others also stood up directly. In fact, in the eyes of Tang San and others, Yun Feng's strength is very strong and they don't need to take action at all. That's why he hesitated. On the other side, the big man saw that everyone on the other side stood up, and there was a little fear in his eyes, but he still didn't stand up directly. His palms lost consciousness and he had no strength now. He didn't want to continue being beaten. Just when he wanted to say something nice, "Stop it," when Yun Feng wanted to continue, a neutral voice suddenly interrupted, and a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s strode forward. He didn't see how he acted, and it seemed that he only took 2 steps and came between Yun Feng and the tall and strong man. Don't you know that you can't fight privately in the fighting spirit preparation area? This is the rule of the big fighting spirit arena. If you want to fight, go to the fighting spirit stage. After saying this, he glanced at Yun Feng again, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. You don't seem to participate in the team fighting spirit. Yun Feng nodded in disbelief. The supervisor didn't say anything, but the strong man behind him suddenly changed from gloomy to sunny. He said, how could a soul master have such power? The person in front of him must be the leader of the opposite team. The sturdy man who was about to apologize suddenly changed his expression and pretended to be indifferent. Manager Rao, it's my fault. I couldn't help it. The middle-aged man called Manager Rao looked at Shrek Academy. You are the new group registered today, right? Well, you don't have to fight here. It just so happens that you are opponents on the fighting spirit stage today. If you have any grudges, go to the fighting spirit stage to solve them. Crazy Rhino, if I see you making trouble in my territory next time, don't blame me for being rude to you. This is the last time I warn you, remember it. Yes, yes, it won't happen again next time. It won't happen again. Crazy Rhino's strong body and his smirking look looked extremely inconsistent. When his eyes turned to Yun Feng, he immediately became cold and pointed a finger at Yun Feng, and then said arrogantly, you are their teacher, right? Let's wait and see. If I don't beat them so hard that your mother in the academy doesn't recognize them, I won't be called Crazy Rhino. After saying that, Crazy Rhino turned and left. At this time, the eyes of the Shrek people looking at the Crazy Rhino were like a god. Who is this person in front of him? The ultimate invincible and super explosive genius monster. He has defeated Zhao Wuji and hunted 10,000-year soul beasts alone. He is a super boss of level 52. With Yun Feng's current strength, even some teachers in the academy can't get much benefit from fighting with Yun Feng. Although they don't want to admit it, Yun Feng's existence is destined to be admired by soul masters outside. Now someone actually said this. I admire it. I really admire it. Relying on the great fighting soul field, I dare not touch you, but have you ever thought about what to do after leaving this place? However, Director Rao obviously knew Yun Feng. Yun Feng came to ask him before if there was a fighting soul between Soul Kings, so he was very impressed with Yun Feng. However, it was not Yun Feng who participated in the soul fighting arena after all. After hearing what Crazy Rhino said, Director Rao's heart was still slightly shifted, and he said calmly to the people participating in the competition, don't be deceived by appearances. Crazy Rhino, the captain of the Crazy War Team, all the members of the Crazy War Team are above level 35. They have registered in the soul fighting arena for 7 days, and the team has won 7 consecutive victories at the Soul Honor level. If they can achieve 10 consecutive victories, they will directly advance to the Bronze Soul Fighting Arena. With their strength, even among the level 30 teams with Bronze Soul Fighting level 1, they will be outstanding. You can only wish you good luck. If you think you are not strong enough, admit defeat immediately after going on stage. The Crazy War Team will attack you and you will either die or be injured. Chapter 164. Do you understand what I mean? Director Rao's voice was not loud, just enough for everyone in Shrek to hear. After he finished speaking, he turned and left. The other spirit masters around did not look at them after seeing Director Rao. Yun Feng did not say anything in the face of such a show of goodwill. He just wrote it down secretly, although it was not very important, and Director Rao's words obviously had other meanings. The appearance of the Berserker team caused their great fighting spirit arena to suffer a loss, so secretly reminded them. At this time, Yun Feng had already come to Zhu Zuqing and said slowly, how is it? Are you okay? Zhu Zuqing shook her head, her beautiful eyes full of calmness, but under this calm appearance, there was a trace of affection. Her feelings towards Yun Feng were very complicated, but there was no badness in them. Some were all untangled. When she wanted to say something in the end, she saw the concern in Zhao Wu and Ning Rong's eyes. But she still didn't say it. I'm fine, thank you for just now. After Yun Feng simply shook his head, he looked at Tang San and Zhao Wu, then he winked at the two of them. The two understood Yun Feng's meaning instantly. Zhao Wu was even more eager to fight, wishing she could go on the field and beat the opponent right now. He dared to insult the person he loved like this, He was simply courting death. The others didn't think so much, just curled their lips. I didn't expect that the first time we stepped onto the Team Battle Soul stage, we would encounter a tough bone to chew, either death or injury. I want to see who is either death or injury. Obviously, they were also stimulated. It was fine to be stimulated by Yunfeng in the academy. Now they come to fight the soul, but they are still looked down upon. That crazy rhino is not simple. Oscar thought for a while and said slowly, "Boss Dai, do you remember the first sentence the supervisor said just now? Don't be blinded by appearances. He is awakening us." Crazy Rhino is not as rough as he seems. He can become the captain of the team, lead his team to win 7 consecutive victories, and bring fear to other groups. It is not just strength that can do it. This guy is probably here to test our strength. Daimubai nodded. It is very likely. If so, we should be more cautious. Everyone, listen carefully. Once the situation is not good, don't force it. Immediately use Zhao Ao's mushroom sausage to escape from the fighting arena. Everyone's safety is the most important. Tang San opened his mouth, but he didn't expect Daimubai to speak before him. It's a bit uncomfortable. I missed the opportunity to improve my favorability again. However, Tang San thought about it and added, the opponent's advantage is that the level is high. Since the name of the crazy rhino is Rhino, the martial spirit should be Rhino. It is a defensive power type spirit master. When launching an attack, we should try to avoid a head-on collision with him. Attack other spirit masters with low defense first. Leave this crazy rhino to me. I will try my best to control him. There are a total of 5 group fighting spirits in District 13. The Shrek people got half an hour of rest time in the first 3 fighting spirits. Finally, it was their turn to play. The Shrek 7 Devils walked out of the Spirit Master preparation area with the Crazy Battle Team. At this time, they finally saw all the members of the Crazy Battle Team. The majestic and tall body of the Crazy Rhino walked at the front of their team, followed closely by 2 middle-aged men of the same age as him. They looked similar, probably brothers, with ordinary figures and gloomy faces. Behind them was a charming woman, the only female in the Crazy War Team. Her age could not be seen from the heavy makeup, but judging from her figure, she should be over 20 years old. Her clothes were extremely revealing, with only a tube top on her upper body. Although she wore a skirt on her lower body, it was as thin as a veil, and you could easily see the flesh inside. The charming woman first threw a coquettish glance at Daimubai, who was at the front of the Shrek group. Daimubai didn't even look at her. He had seen many beauties, but he hated those with heavy makeup the most, and he had no interest in them at all. Of course, these were all Daimubai's excuses, and the main reason was that he was no longer good. His interest in women had naturally disappeared. Daimubai's lack of interest did not mean that others were not interested, such as a fat man, although he no longer had that thing. But he had the same thoughts in his mind. Another one is Oscar. When he saw the woman in front of him, his eyes suddenly widened. He swallowed his saliva secretly, and some thoughts that were not suitable for children were going on in his mind. Behind the charming woman were 2 thin young men, with flickering eyes, looking around constantly. The man walking at the end of the Berserker team was the oldest, at least over 40 years old. He looked very ordinary and dressed very simply. If it weren't for this big fighting spirit arena, it would be hard for people to associate him with the word Spirit Master. The Shrek people were observing each other, and the other party was naturally observing them. Unfortunately, except for the fat man who had a special figure, the others on the Shrek side were normal in figure, and their faces were covered by masks, so it was difficult to judge anything from their appearance. The area of the group fighting spirit arena is much larger than the 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, with a diameter of 40 meters. The surrounding audience seats are also twice as large. At this time, the audience was already full. There was a little blood on the fighting spirit arena, which was obviously left by the previous group fighting spirit. As soon as the Berserker team appeared, they ignited the enthusiasm of the audience, and strong cheers resounded throughout the venue. Tear them apart, kill them. Such shouts not only created pressure, but also made people more excited. The host on the stage turned out to be the same director Ralph from before, standing in the center of the fighting arena and shouting. The 4th match, a team battle. The two sides are the Mad War Team and the Shrek 7 Devils. I don't think I need to introduce the Mad War Team too much. They have won 7 consecutive victories. If they can continue to be brave and win a few more games in the future fighting arena, then they are likely to create the record of the fastest bronze fighting arena in the Soto Great Fighting Arena. Next, let's take a look at the mysterious group on the other side of the fighting arena. This group just completed registration today. This is also their first team fighting arena. Unfortunately, they met the Mad War Team. These masked soul masters are called the Shrek 7 Devils. I don't know if it's because there are too many supporters of the Mad War Team, or if the masks on the faces of the Shrek 7 Devils give the audience a bad impression. As soon as Director Rao announced their names, there was a burst of boos from the audience. The circular fighting arena with a diameter of 40 meters is already very large, covering an area of thousands of square meters. So even though there are as many as 14 people on both sides, it will not appear crowded. Chapter 165 Good to Lick. Following the announcement by Director Rao, the Shrek 7 Devils and the Mad War Team each formed their own formations. On the Mad War Team side, the captain, Mad Rhino, stood in the front, followed closely by the 2 gloomy middle-aged men, and the 3 formed a triangle formation. The seductive woman was in the middle of the 7 people, still smiling coquettishly. The 2 thin young men were on the 2 wings, and the middle-aged man who looked very ordinary was at the end. The whole formation was like a pointed cone. The Shrek 7 Devils also formed their own formation. Unlike the other side's 3-3-1 formation, the Shrek 7 Devils formed a 3-1-1-2 formation. The 7 people were divided into 4 rows. In the front were Daima Bai, Dao Wu and Zhu Zuqing. The second row was Tang San, and the third row was Ma Hongjun. The last row was Oscar and Ning Rongyarong. Oscar stood there close to Ning Rongyarong. Now he actually had no tasks, and the 3 sausages per person that Tang San had requested before had already been in everyone's hands. Even if he needed to replenish, he could finish it quickly. "Why are you so close to me?" Ning Rongyarong whispered. Oscar smiled and said, "If someone attacks you, I can be your human shield. Go away." Oscar's body shook, and then he said quickly, "Okay." Seeing Oscar like this, everyone around him felt disgusted with him. So flattering. But to be honest, having 2 auxiliary spirit masters is good, but the combat power of the Shrek 7 Devils is only 5 people, and they have to face a team of all above level 35. The pressure can be imagined. And Ning Rongyarong, who has the 7 treasures glazed tower spirit, is obviously the opponent's target in the team battle. You know, with her presence, the overall strength of the team can be increased by 30%. The host asked both sides if they were ready. As the captain, Daima Bai and the opponent's Crazy Rhino said they were ready at the same time. The countdown starts in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Team Spirit Battle, 4th round, start. This countdown is not available in 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 matches, so that the Spirit Masters on both sides can have time to release their martial spirits first. In this way, in the team battle, it can avoid mistakes caused by slow release of martial spirits that affect the performance. Of course, for the large fighting spirit field, it is also to make the fighting spirit process more exciting to attract the audience. Open the martial spirit. As the old captain, Daima Bai roared, and his momentum increased sharply. The muscles of his whole body swelled instantly, and his arms stretched to both sides of his body at the same time, releasing his martial spirit, the White Tiger Possession. At the same time, the martial spirits of both sides were released at the same time. For a moment, the body of the Beast Spirit Master changed, and the Weapon Spirit Master summoned his martial spirit, and the entire fighting spirit stage suddenly became extremely dazzling. At this time, Yun Feng also instantly understood why the audience liked to watch the team spirit battle. This opening moment alone is not comparable to the other 2 fighting spirit methods. Just imagine, at the same time, 14 spirit masters released their martial spirits, and the dazzling spirit rings lit up at the same time. What a magnificent scene that would be. It was just like watching TV. I was indeed wrong. On the Shrek 7 Devils side, the spirit rings of the 4 spirit masters were exactly the same color. Daima Bai, Oscar, Tang San, and Zhao Wu all had 2 yellow and 1 purple, that is, 200 years and 1,000 years, a total of 3 spirit rings. The other 3 also had a 200 years of spirit rings. Compared with the Shrek 7 Devils, the spirit rings of the opposite Crazy War team were somewhat uneven. Crazy Rhino had 1 white, 1 yellow, and 1 purple, the standard 3-spirit combination of 10 years, 100 years, and 1,000 years. The 2 gloomy middle-aged men beside him had 1 white and 2 yellow. They were obviously much weaker in spirit rings. The only one with the top spirit ring configuration was the Enchanting Woman. Like the 4 spirit masters on the Shrek 7 Devils side, she also had 2 yellow and 1 purple spirit rings. The other 3, although they were all soul masters above level 30, only had a 1,000-year soul ring on the last middle-aged man, who looked very ordinary. His soul ring was the same as that of the Crazy Rhino, while the other 2 had 1 white and 2 yellow. The neat colors of the Shrek 7 Devils and the uneven colors of the other side immediately formed a sharp contrast. Although the Crazy Rhino had tested Daimabai's strength before and had a certain psychological preparation, he was still surprised when he saw that there were 4 soul masters with top-level soul ring configurations among the Shrek 7 Devils. Fortunately, there were still 3 of them at the level of Great Soul Masters, otherwise, he might have surrendered directly. From the comparison of soul rings in front of us, we can see how rare high-level soul rings are. It is extremely difficult for ordinary soul masters to obtain a good soul ring. After all, soul beasts that produce excellent soul rings are generally stronger than soul masters, and only strong people can assist them to obtain them safely. The originally noisy audience also quieted down at this time. The visual impact of the 4 purple soul rings on them was definitely not small. Moreover, the Shrek 7 Devils did not even have a 10-year-old white spirit ring, which was enough to prove that they had a background. Supervisor Ao was also startled by the spirit rings on the Shrek 7 Devils, but he quickly recovered. With a start, he had already flown back. His movements were extremely fast, and he was obviously a spirit master of considerable strength. The first to move were not the combat spirit masters standing in the front of both sides, but the auxiliary spirit masters in the back row. The middle-aged man on the other side had a flash of light in his hand, and a silver disc had appeared in his palm. The white and yellow spirit rings on his body lit up at the same time. Ruai disc, defense light blooms. Ruai disc, attack aura blooms. 2 circles of light with the same color as the 2 spirit rings were released instantly, adding a layer of yellow-white light to each of the 6 companions in front. On the Shrek 7 Devils side, Ning Rong Arong's dazzling light in her hand was already shining. In the palm of her right hand, there was already a 7-colored pagoda more than a foot high. The precious light was flashing, and the noble aura was overwhelming. Ning Rong Arong smiled, and the whole person looked like a fairy. The soul spell of the auxiliary spirit master rang out from her mouth. The 7 treasures have a name. 1 is power. The 7 treasures have a name. 2 is. The 2 spirit rings hovering on Ning Rong Arong's body simultaneously circled en route, covering the 7 treasures glazed tower. 14 colorful lights were released at the same time, respectively applied to herself and her 6 companions. Lightness and warmth, 2 feelings spread throughout the bodies of the Shrek 7 Devils at the same time, and strength and agility instantly received a 30% bonus. The martial spirit of the 7 treasures glazed tower is really well known by too many people. Seeing that the opponent actually has a 7 treasures glazed tower spirit master, the faces of the members of the crazy battle team suddenly became ugly. Not to mention that the effect that the 7 treasures glazed tower can add to teammates is the best among auxiliary spirit masters. The identity of being from the 7 treasures glazed sect alone is enough to make them feel cautious. Go, the arrow is on the string and has to be shot. Crazy Rhino has no time to think too much at this time, although he regrets his previous provocation to Daimabai. At this moment, he can only finish the battle in front of him first. They thought that even if they won this time, they must not injure their opponent like they did before. The 7 treasures glazed sect was not something they could afford to offend. Chapter 166 Take Me With You. At this time, Yun Feng on the stage was also looking at Flanders sneaking around, and suddenly asked, "Dean, what are you going to do?" After seeing that it was Yun Feng, Flanders smiled and said directly, "Betting, do you want to join?" After hearing this, Yun Feng's eyes lit up. "This is a good thing. Who would dislike having too much money? Take me with you. I'll go too." After seeing Yun Feng like this, Flanders also smiled, and then left the fighting spirit viewing platform with Yun Feng. The martial spirit of the Mad Rhino is the Rhino. After releasing his martial spirit, not only did his body expand, but his skin also had a thick keratin layer like armor. The biggest change was his head, with a single horn more than half a foot long flashing a brown-yellow light. With his own loud shout, the white light of the 10-year soul ring on his body surged, and the whole person rushed towards Daima Bai with an indomitable momentum. The two soul masters beside the crazy rhino also belonged to the strong attack department. They were both beast soul masters, possessing the same martial spirit, with two horns on their heads and a layer of white hair on their skin. They were sheep martial spirits. They cooperated with the crazy rhino and charged at the same time. As a team, cooperation is extremely important. The auxiliary soul masters on the crazy war team increased their defense by 5% and their attack by 10%. Compared with the increase of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, the difference is too far. Otherwise, how could the 7 treasures glazed pagoda be called the first auxiliary martial spirit, behind the crazy rhino and the other two? Two agile attack soul masters also moved quickly. Their martial spirits were monkeys, and their bodies were covered with yellow hair. They moved at an incredibly fast speed from both sides to bypass Daima Bai and the other two in front, aiming directly at Ning Rong in the back. At the same time, the enchanting girl with the top spirit ring also moved. She was also a beast soul master. She was able to occupy the center of the team. In addition to her strength, it was her soul master training direction. Like Tang San, she was also a control-type soul master. What surprised Tang San was that the beast martial soul of this charming woman was actually a spider. The moment the martial soul possessed her, Tang San noticed her. When the martial soul of the charming girl was released, her whole body was covered with a layer of pink light. The long wavy silk stretched out 8 strands, forming the 8-legged form of a spider across the 2 sides of her head. There was a spider web mark on her forehead, and her eyes also turned pink. As the first soul ring on her body lit up, she raised both hands at the same time, and spider silk shot out from her palms. She shot in the direction of the air. The spider silk began to weave quickly in the air. Tang San coldly watched the situation in the field and shouted, "Fatty, in the air, Phoenix Fire Line, release." Ma Hongjun had been ready for a long time, and the purple-red flame spewed out and went straight to the spider web in the air. At this time, Tang San also moved. Dozens of blue-silver grass quickly extended from his feet, not forward, but to the sides, entangled with the skills, and directly blocked the 2 young spirit masters with monkey martial spirits. Control system overcomes agility system. This is known to all spirit masters. Seeing the blue-silver grass swarming in, the 2 monkey spirit masters with extremely fast speed suddenly stopped for a moment. Tang San also raised his hand. Without looking at the situation on both sides, a ball of green light in his palm had been thrown out by him using the hand-throwing arrow technique, and the target was the opponent's front-running Mad Rhino. Mad Rhino naturally saw the green light released by Tang San, and he also understood that the opponent was a control system spirit master, and without thinking, he directly activated his second spirit ring. As the huge body rushed forward, both fists were swung out at the same time, and a dazzling black light lit up from the fists. The 2 balls of light suddenly collided in the air, turning into a huge black light wave, rushing straight towards the yellow-green light emitted by Tang San. It must be said that Crazy Rhino has a lot of practical experience. The black light wave he released is not only aimed at the green light launched by Tang San. Once the green light is defeated, the next target will be Daima Bai. But can he really block the green light? Crazy Rhino still overlooked one thing after all, that is, when Tang San released the green light, the 3rd soul ring on his body lit up. It was also the purple 1000-year soul ring. The green light was not defeated by the black light, nor did it block the black light from moving forward. It swung up under the impact of the black light. At this time, a blue-silver grass quietly moved forward from a tricky angle, just touching the back of the green light. With a slight pull, the green light that was originally carried by the black light flew directly into the air and then fell on his head. "Crazy Rhino, be careful." The charming woman's face changed, and she hurriedly reminded loudly. At this time, her spider web that had not yet been woven in the air had been completely dissolved in front of Ma Hongjun's evil fire. It didn't play any role at all. With the increase in Ningrong-Arong's 7 treasures glazed tower, the soul power of the two sides, which was originally quite different, was greatly narrowed. Ma Hongjun's attack, like a torrent, brought the power of his evil fire to the extreme. Of course, the Mad Rhino knew that he had to be careful, but speed was not his forte after all. The black light from his fists had already collided with Dime Bai's second soul ring skill, the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave, and the collision of black and white immediately caused a violent roar. This time, the Mad Rhino did not take advantage, and his body paused and shook at the same time as Dime Bai. The green light finally showed its true face, and the large net that opened instantly fell from the sky, completely covering the tall body of the Mad Rhino. The spider web suddenly tightened, tightly wrapping the body of the Mad Rhino, with the spider web binding doubling the toughness of the blue-silver grass. It was almost impossible for the Mad Rhino to break free from this big net. A puff of smoke appeared at the same time as the spider web, and the two kinds of corrosive and paralyzing poisons attached to the spider web were activated at the same time. It began to erode the stratum corneum on the Mad Rhino's body. "Tang San, good job," Dao Wu praised. Dime Bai saw that the crazy rhino was successfully controlled by Tang San, and he was immediately inspired. He stomped his feet and shot out like an arrow, aiming at the Sheep Soul Master on the left. Facing the opponent's collision, he was too lazy to dodge. As the saying goes, a sheep enters the tiger's mouth. The nature of martial spirits is mutually exclusive, and the aura on Dime Bai's body has already produced a considerable impact on the opponent. Dao Wu flashed and met another Sheep Soul Master, while Zhuzukin accelerated at full speed and flanked from the side, ignoring the Control Soul Master, and aimed directly at the Ruai Pan Auxiliary Soul Master at the back. The whole battle has been fully launched at this time. In the first collision, it is obvious that the Crazy War Team suffered a great loss. The most important combat power, the Crazy Rhino, was bound and entangled by Tang San's spider web, which made their frontal situation suddenly become unfavorable. At this time, the Crazy War Team showed their strength of 7 consecutive victories. In any Soul Master team, no matter how many people there are, the Control Soul Master is the soul of the team. Seeing that the Crazy Rhino was trapped, the charming girl did not show any anxious look. Instead, she flew forward and pounced on the Crazy Rhino, while shouting, "The two monkeys retreat, protect the Ruai plate." The two sheep hold on. Chapter 167, Fighting. The two monkey spirit masters had already retreated to their own side after being blocked by Tang San's blue-silver grass. At this time, they heard the command of the enchanting girl and rushed towards Zhuzukin without hesitation. The Mad Rhino had already rolled to the ground in the fierce struggle. He wanted to break free from Tang San's spider web with his own strength, but the corrosive poison that kept coming from the spider web was rapidly corroding his stratum corneum. His defense was indeed very strong, but it did not mean that he was immune to the poison. The outermost stratum corneum had been corroded, and the more violent his struggle, the tighter the spider web was. At this time, he was gradually trapped. The enchanting girl was already shocked when she saw the spider web that Tang San had instantly cast. Although Tang San's spider web was composed of blue-silver grass, but she knew very well that the opponent's third spirit ring must come from a spider spirit beast, and she, who had a spider martial spirit, had no confidence in facing such an opponent. At this time, her purpose was very simple: to dissolve the spider web on the Mad Rhino first. "Your opponent is me." Tang San's cold but firm voice sounded in the ears of the enchanting girl. Blue-silver grass swarmed and went straight to her body to entangle. He would never give the Mad Rhino a chance to recover his fighting power. Dime Bai had already gained an absolute advantage over the Sheep Soul Master, even though the opponent's soul power was not weaker than his, but the advantage in martial spirit was too great. In the face of his violent tiger claw attack, The opponent could only retreat step by step, but neither side used their third soul ring. That was the last resort. No one would use it easily unless it was absolutely necessary. Unlike Daimabai Z's, Zhao Wu encountered some troubles. Her opponent was also a sheep soul master. In addition to the collision skill, the second soul skill of this sheep soul master was actually a rare trampling. Although the trampling range was only a small circle, every time Zhao Wu was about to get close, he would use his trampling skill. He didn't give Zhao Wu a chance to get close at all. At the same time, after Zhao Wu was stunned by his trampling skill, she had to face the opponent's collision. She was almost injured several times and didn't dare to get too close for a while. Her teleportation skill was actually restrained by a second soul ring skill trampling, although the opponent's skill can only limit her for 1 second, but this second made Zhao Wu helpless. What's more, the opponent's soul power is higher than hers. For a while, they can only entangle with each other, and neither can do anything to the opponent. Zhu Zuking's speed is extremely fast. With the assistance of Ning Rong-Arong's 7 treasures glazed tower, almost just a few flashes have arrived in front of the opponent's Ruai Pan Soul Master. At this time, the 2 monkey soul masters are still a long distance away from her. The first soul ring skill, Netherworld Stab, is activated. With the help of her own soul skills, Zhu Zuking's speed increased again, and the claws on her fingertips have popped out, aiming directly at the neck of the opponent's soul master. As long as she successfully controls the opponent and makes his auxiliary ability disappear, her goal will be achieved. The blue-silver grass surged wildly and entangled the enchanting girl. Facing Tang San's attack, the enchanting girl did not dare to be careless. As control-type soul masters of both sides, they finally collided with each other. The second soul ring on the enchanting girl lit up. Both heads were raised at the same time. This time, spider silk was no longer sprayed from both hands, but from all over the body. Although the spider silk was thinner than the blue-silver grass, it was better in quantity. It formed a barrier in front of her, blocking the blue-silver grass's skills. The spider silk and the blue-silver grass came into contact with each other, making a continuous sound of puffing, which was the confrontation of toxins. With the spider spirit, how could the enchanting girl's spirit skills not contain poison? The spider silk of the enchanting girl seemed to be developing in the same direction as Tang San's blue-silver grass. The spider silk was tough, and the blue-silver grass itself was also mainly flexible. The two sides were deadlocked in the air, and neither could do anything to the other. They could only attack each other with toxins. In this regard, the blue-silver grass with the toxicity of the crypt spider obviously had the upper hand, and the corrosive toxins attached to it continued to erode the spider silk in front of it. Although the enchanting girl was surprised, her goal at this time had been achieved. As long as she could take this opportunity to help the Mad Rhino be liberated, then, the victory of this battle was still on their side. At this moment, with a puff, a flame as thick as an arm passed through the gap of the blue-silver grass. It directly bombarded the spider web woven by the enchanting girl. The purple-red flame not only directly opened a gap in the spider web, but also attached to it and quickly spread to the side. It was Ma Hongjun's support. Tang San secretly praised in his heart, and with a flick of his wrist, another ball of green light was sent out, just drilling through the hole in the opponent's spider web and heading straight for the enchanting girl. As long as the opponent's control-type soul master can be controlled again, this battle of souls will lose suspense. If the enchanting girl had not dodged quickly, she would have been injured by Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line. When Ma Hongjun had already activated the Phoenix of Fire, the Phoenix Fire line had extremely strong attack power and an extremely high temperature. The most terrifying thing was that his Phoenix Fire line was not just a straight line attack. Under Ma Hongjun's control, it was like a long whip of fire, and a few swings could break her spider web. Seeing that Tang San's attack had arrived, the enchanting girl could no longer care about rescuing the Mad Rhino on the ground. She turned over and dodged the spider web that Tang San had cast. The spider web stretched out in the air. How could it be so easy to dodge the 5-meter diameter coverage? At this moment, the third spirit ring on the enchanting girl finally lit up. On both sides of her head, 8 strands of silk spread out instantly, and under the pink light, They turned into 8 2-meter-long whips, swinging at the same time. She actually paused Tang San's spider web. The most peculiar thing was that the pink long whip she swung was not stained by the stickiness of the spider web. With a roll, she had already escaped from the coverage of the spider web. Bang! Ruai Pan Spirit Master had no chance against Zhu Zuqing, who was Agile Attack. Just like the control system overcomes the Agile Attack system, the Agile Attack system also overcomes the auxiliary system, not to mention Zhu Zuqing, who had undergone Yun Feng's special training. Zhu Zuqing cut the opponent's neck with a palm, and the Ruai Pan Spirit Master fell to the ground and fainted without even a hum. However, when Zhu Zuqing was approaching, he knew that he could not escape, so he also released his third soul skill. A strange silver wave was released from the Ruai silver plate, and then, when Zhu Zuqing hit his body, the silver light had successfully turned into 6 strands, and was injected into the other 6 members of the Berserker team at the same time. At this time, it was also the moment when the enchanting girl escaped from Tang San's spider web. When the silver light entered their bodies, the 6 members of the Berserker team trembled at the same time. The next moment, their eyes turned red at the same time, and their bodies swelled up a full circle. Chapter 168. If you don't have cheats, you're an idiot. Even the mad rhino on the ground jumped up from the ground with the help of his waist strength while being bound by the spider web. Daima Bai had already gained the upper hand, but after the silver light was injected into his opponent, he suddenly became manic. Not only did his soul power increase greatly, but his eyes turned red at the same time. He forced Daima Bai back and rushed up frantically. Dao Wu's situation was even worse than Daima Bai's. The silver light injection not only greatly increased the soul power of the sheep soul master she was facing, but also made the whole person crazy. At the same time, the coverage of the trampling skill became much larger. With the strong shock, Dao Wu's body suddenly stiffened, and she watched the opponent rushing towards her but could not dodge. At the critical moment, the teamwork was revealed. A blue-silver grass quietly came to Dao Wu's side. It forcibly pulled her body back and made way for the opponent's attack. The speed of the 2 monkey soul masters increased suddenly, and they actually caught up with Zhu Zuqing's speed and rushed towards her. The 8 pink long wisps waving on the head of the charming girl in front of Tang San instantly extended. 4 of them hooked onto the spider web on the upright Crazy Rhino, pulling desperately. With the Crazy Rhino's full power, the spider web binding wrapped around him was actually pulled away bit by bit, although there were large web-like scars on Crazy Rhino, as long as he could get out of the spider web range. Then, with him joining the opponent's camp, the situation would change immediately. The other 4 strands quickly extended and rushed towards Tang San. At this time, Tang San felt a sense of emptiness in his body. He released the spider web binding twice in succession, which had consumed 2/3 of his soul power. Facing the opponent's fanatical attack, the blue-silver grass was no longer enough to block it. In desperation, he had to step on the ghost shadow and fly back. Fortunately, with Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line to cover, the opponent's attack was blocked. Among the 7 people in the crazy battle team, except for the Ruai Pan Soul Master who fell unconscious, most of them had fallen into a special state. It seemed that only the spider female soul master was still awake. Although the Phoenix Evil Fire was her nemesis, she used the body of the Crazy Rhino in front of her as a shield. Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Fire line burned up, although it would make the Crazy Rhino roar continuously, but it was not enough to cause enough damage to him. Tang San's spider web binding was also overcome by the evil fire. After the Crazy Rhino and the spider female spirit master desperately pulled, the spider web binding was finally released. The originally advantageous situation was completely changed by the soul skill of the opponent's Ruai Pan Soul Master. The 1000-year soul ring skill is indeed extraordinary. What the Shrek 7 Devils don't know is that the reason why the opponent is called the Crazy War Team has a lot to do with their current situation. The 3rd soul ring skill of the Ruai Pan Soul Master was obtained from a fanatic demon lizard. Once used, this 1000-year soul ring skill can keep the party in a fanatic state for 3 minutes. After the fanatic state is blessed, the feeling of pain will be lost. If the mental strength is not strong enough, it will also lose consciousness at the same time. In exchange, all attributes will instantly increase by 15% of abnormal ability, and the auxiliary soul skills that have been blessed will also be solidified for 1 minute. In other words, even if the Ruai Pan Soul Master has fainted at this time, the auxiliary effect he had previously applied to the members of the Berserker team would still last for 1 minute and be added together with the increase of the Berserker itself. It was precisely because of this that they could turn the situation around in an instant. Of course, the Berserker skill was so overbearing, and naturally it had its flaws, which were very direct. The Berserker skill only lasted for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, those who had been given the Berserker skill would not be able to use and condense their soul power within an hour. In other words, if they failed to defeat their opponents in the Berserker situation, they would be the ones to die. This was a soul skill that was used desperately, but its effect was definitely not bad. It could play a role in turning the tide at a critical moment. Yun Feng, who had just returned from placing a bet, could not help but feel speechless. A group of geniuses actually fought hard with an unknown team. Moreover, the soul power of the opponent was not much higher than theirs. They were all in the Soul Master realm. There were even many with 10-year soul rings. Yun Feng did not want to wait any longer at this time. Yin, are there any strong men above the Soul Saint in the fighting soul field? After hearing Yun Feng's question, although Yin was very puzzled, he still sent out his mental power to sense a wave. After sensing, she said directly, except for Flanders and Zhao Wuji, there is no one else. After seeing Yin say this, Yun Feng suddenly smiled. Turning to Flanders and Zhao Wuji, he whispered, Dean, Teacher Zhao, I have an idea. You should admit defeat. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what kind of damage I will cause you next. The voice of the charming woman sounded very pleasant, but her tone at this time was somewhat helpless. The members of the Berserker team beside her kept breathing heavily, and the surging soul power fluctuations formed a huge pressure that came to their faces. Daimyo Bai shouted coldly, let us admit defeat? Don't dream, you have the ability to defeat us first. The charming spider female soul master curled her lips in disdain. If it weren't for the 7 treasures glazed spirit master, do you think I would have wasted my time talking to you? In that case, I can only say sorry for the damage I'll cause you next. Just after she finished speaking, a scream rang out from her mouth again. The frenzy only lasted 3 minutes, and she didn't dare delay any longer. The Mad Battle team had already won 7 consecutive victories. As long as they continued to win, the benefits they would gain would be immeasurable. Even if the opponent had the 7 treasures glazed spirit master, they would never give up. In the previous group battles, the reason why the Mad Battle team was able to defeat powerful enemies repeatedly was because of the existence of this frenzy auxiliary skill. It was also because most of the team members had lost their minds that they often injured their opponents or even killed them. But the changes also began from this moment. Yun Feng hid in the dark and directly released his 5th spirit ring. Under the cover of Zhao Wuji and Flanders, the 5th spirit ring, the Devil's Eye devouring the world, the illusory azure light enveloped the entire venue. It was bestowed on Zhao Wu and the 7 people on the fighting spirit stage. When the scream rang out, instantly, he felt the power in his body, which was constantly increasing. This power, Zhao Wu, Zhu Zuqing and Ning Rong looked at Yun Feng's seat on the viewing platform in tacit understanding, but they didn't find him. Instantly, they understood what was going on. In their hearts, they couldn't help but sigh. If it weren't for Yun Feng, we would have lost the first team spirit battle. Although it was very shameful, they didn't say anything. After all, they were the ones who benefited. As for the heart of the strong, to win by relying on one's own strength, in their hearts, there was no such idea at all. If you have a cheat, you are stupid if you don't use it. Chapter 169. Am I that kind of person? Tang San and the others also reacted at this time, knowing that it was Yun Feng who was secretly helping them. Everyone was not a pedantic person, and soon accepted this power without a word. Daimyo Bai even shouted, start the counterattack now. The opponent only had 3 minutes to strengthen, plus the more than 10 seconds spent before. They only needed to avoid defeat in these 2 minutes, so there was no rush at all. The 7 people did not hesitate at all and directly ate the mushroom sausage transformed by Oscar's 3rd soul skill. Then they began to use the skyrocketing speed to constantly wander around the battlefield. not giving the Berserker team any hope. The opponent's sudden skyrocketing speed made the Berserker team members lose their target immediately. As the only one who was awake, Spider Female Soul Master was shocked. She never thought that the opponents she faced actually all had this instant burst ability. 1 minute was very short, and it was almost up, and the Berserker team members below were obviously not going to be relieved of their fanatic state. Spider Female Soul Master calmed down after a brief surprise. Also, as a control system Soul Master, she also has rich practical experience. If only 1 or 2 people from the Shrek 7 Devils have this ability, then it is understandable, but if 7 people burst out at the same time, it can only prove that this is the effect of soul skills. The Shrek people are betting, and she is also betting that the opponent's continuous burst time is shorter than the duration of her own frenzy state. After noticing the operation of the 7 people on the Shrek side, Yunfeng didn't know what to say. Is this how you use your Magikai to devour the world? Go ahead. What are you afraid of? I am a Soul King. With the blessing of the 10,000-year soul skill, is it not as good as the 3,000-year soul skill of the opponent? Yunfeng was speechless. If the time was not too short, Yunfeng wanted to directly control Tang San and others, control them to play the game, but Yunfeng is just talking in his heart now. They don't understand the blessing of their soul skills, so this way of playing is also conservative, and it is very safe. It's just that Yunfeng is a little unhappy. I always feel that my soul skills are used in the wrong place. In fact, if Yunfeng were to say, with the blessing of his soul skills, Yu Zhaogang could go up and fight against the Mad Rhino. You have to know that Bula, a soul master, was beaten into that state by Zhao Wu, but it was all under Yunfeng's control. He was able to stand up and kill Ma Hongjun. You can imagine how perverted he is. The Devil Eye Devouring World can strengthen the friendly party within this soul skill and become fearless. At the same time, it can also strengthen Yunfeng's Blue Silver King, become more huge and more powerful. However, if it is covered by soul skills for a long time, it will slowly lose itself and become Yunfeng's servant. After about half a minute, Tang San and others finally realized how outrageous Yunfeng's blessing was. Simply don't run. Dime Bai even shouted to the Mad Rhino that was chasing behind, "Come on, fight." But at this time, the members of the Mad Battle team trembled, their momentum obviously dropped, and the soul power fluctuations did not seem as fierce as before. Everyone in Shrek attacked together. Just when they were about to attack the opposite side, the members of the Berserker team trembled collectively, except for the Spider Female Spirit Master. The frenzy in the eyes of the other 5 gradually disappeared, revealing a confused look, and the light in their eyes gradually became clear. The fluctuations of their soul power dropped sharply, but then came the bombardment of soul skills. They were directly knocked away. Only the Spider Female Spirit Master's face changed. Although her body was also trembling, the amplitude was not as large as that of her companions. However, her soul power still slipped by more than half, and she looked much weaker. After watching her companions around her being knocked down, she was full of reluctance in her heart. She couldn't understand why these people from Shrek became stronger collectively, and they were so persistent. The Spider Female Spirit Master felt her own state, and then looked at the appearance of Tang San and others. Her eyes slowly dimmed, and finally raised her arm directly, signaling to the referee. The Berserker team admits defeat. As the voice fell, Yunfeng also directly retracted his soul skills, and then came to the viewing platform casually. He looked at Flanders with a smile and said, "As promised, remember to give me half." Flanders' joy of making money was immediately halved. After hesitating for a while, he still said to Yunfeng, "Yunfeng, you have so much money, why do you still care about this?" Flanders originally wanted to morally blackmail Yunfeng. As long as Yunfeng loosened up a little, he would directly kidnap Yunfeng, make contributions to the academy, and then play the victim. But who knew that Yunfeng didn't play according to the routine at all? It's nothing. Who would dislike having too much money? I believe the dean should not be a person who doesn't keep his word. Wearing a high hat, who wouldn't be like that? Flanders' lips twitched for a while, but he still squeezed out a smile. Am I that kind of person? While Yunfeng and others were talking, the referee on the field still announced the result in great shock. The Shrek 7 Devils win. For some reason, He suddenly felt that these masked soul masters would soon become the darlings of the Soto Great Soul Fighting Arena. When the Shrek people walked down the stage, they subconsciously raised their heads and looked at where Yun Feng was. At this time, Yun Feng was already sitting there talking with Flanders. After seeing this, Zhao Wu and the others looked at each other, and a smile appeared on the corners of their mouths. They walked directly to where Yun Feng was. Yun Feng and the others did not stay on the viewing platform, but walked down directly. The moment Yun Feng just came down, he was immediately greeted by Zhao Wu and Ning Rong's warm hug. "Yun Feng, you are so handsome." That's right. Zhao Wu's way of hugging may be affected by her own soul skills. Her slender body wrapped around Yun Feng's body like an octopus. Her legs were wrapped around Yun Feng's waist, her arms were around his neck, and her pretty face was flushed with excitement. Zhao Wu looked like a little girl's excitement, but Yun Feng knew Zhao Wu's actual age. Although she has changed into an adult, her mind is still only a teenager. As for Ning Rong, she is completely a girl's fragrance, plus torture. This little witch twisted and turned deliberately when she hugged him. It made Yun Feng extremely uncomfortable. The little witch is worthy of being a little witch. She just loves to torture people. But Yun Feng hopes that this kind of torture will happen more. Sometimes it is not impossible to enjoy an unripe apple. Yun is a ripe peach. But Yun Feng still feels a little wrong. After all, there are so many people watching him now, and his face can't help but feel a little hot. "Zhao Wu, Rong, come down quickly." After hearing this, the two girls let go of Yun Feng reluctantly. At this time, the others also said thank you to Yun Feng in turn. After all, they also knew who won in the end. Yun Feng laughed and said directly, "We won a great victory today. Let's go. Brothers and sisters, I'll treat you, let's get drink." After hearing Yun Feng's words, everyone registered their points in the cheers, received the corresponding rewards, and walked out of the Soto Great Fighting Spirit Arena. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170. Isn't this putting me in an unjust position? When the audience who left the 13th Division of the Great Soul Arena saw them, many people were whispering. They couldn't imagine why a small and unknown team could be so powerful. However, they didn't stay for too long. They hurried out of the crowd and quickly left the Great Soul Arena after joining Yu Zhao Gang, Flanders and Zhao Wuji. When no one was paying attention to them, Yun Feng and others took off their masks, looked at each other, and couldn't help laughing. They often fought together in their usual training, but they didn't feel the same as when they were really facing the enemy in the Great Soul Arena. The deepest feeling was when Daima Bai, Zhu Zuqing and Zhao Wu were quickly pulled back by Tang San's blue-silver grass at the critical moment, and the power of the team avoided damage. They suddenly had a deeper understanding of the importance of cooperation that Yu Zhao Gang said in real team combat, especially the existence of Yun Feng. After using that soul skill, their understanding of the team has deepened a lot. Who said that the eighth person is not a team? Back at the hotel, this time Yu Zhao Gang called everyone to Tang San's room, including Flanders and Zhao Wuji. Looking at the students who were a little tired but very excited, he calmly asked, "Tell me, how do you feel in today's fighting spirit?" Daima Bai, as the captain, said directly, "It was okay in individual battles, but our cooperation in team battles was still not tacit enough. After all, this is the first time we have faced such great pressure." Oscar said bitterly, "In team battles, I became a burden to everyone. Without a fighting force, it is difficult for us to win when facing strong opponents." Others wanted to say something, even Yu Zhao Gang, who wanted to preach a few words. But Yun Feng got there first. A smile gradually expanded on Yun Feng's face, and then he said loudly, "What you said is not right. If you ask me, you did a good job today. Yes, you are not in sync, but this is your first team battle cooperation after all. And you are facing a team with all the Soul Masters above level 35, who have won 7 consecutive games and are well organized. Among your opponents, whether it is the control of the Spider Female Soul Master, the defense of the Crazy Rhino, or the role of the auxiliary Soul Master. It can be said that they are all outstanding among the Soul Masters of level 30, but you still won the final victory even though your cooperation was not completely tacit. I think it's great, Master. Don't you think so? After listening to Yunfeng's words, Yu Gang suddenly didn't know what to say. Should I preach to these students when they are excited? Isn't this putting me in an unjust situation? However, thinking of Yunfeng's final move, Yu Gang still said a few more words. Yunfeng is right, but in the end you still relied on Yunfeng to win. That's not possible. If you go to other places to fight spirits in the future, Yunfeng won't be able to help you. And that's, just when Yu Gang wanted to say something, he was interrupted by Yunfeng again. Okay, Master, don't talk about this now. Wow, you don't need to belittle yourself. It's true that you can't participate in the real battle, but you never stopped contributing to the team. If I'm not mistaken, you are the only one among the 7 who has used up all your spirit power. It was because of your mushroom sausage that everyone was saved at the critical moment. Tang San certainly controlled the situation, but without your assistance, this battle would not belong to Shrek. To be precise, each of you played a key role in the team battle. Since you're a group, then you were indispensable. What's more, as a food-type spirit master, your real role is not on the fighting spirit stage. If it is on the battlefield, the continuous combat capability you can provide to everyone is definitely not comparable to those people in the Berserker team. So, don't think about these things. Yunfeng's slow tone was like a neighbor's brother. Oscar, who was originally a little uncomfortable, suddenly felt relieved. Seeing that the current atmosphere was not good to say anything more, Yu Gang could only sigh helplessly. Then he turned and left. Having been here for so long, he naturally knew the rules of Shrek. When you go out, eat your own food. He reluctantly gave up the idea of eating Yunfeng's meal. The 3 of them walked out of the hotel, and Flanders said, Yu Gang, these kids have brought me more and more surprises. It seems that it is a good idea to hand them all over to you for training. After hearing this, Yu Gang raised his chin slightly with pride and pretended to be modest. This is also their own talent. Facing an opponent with an average level of 5 levels higher than theirs, they can still win in one fell swoop even if they have 3 more spirit rings. This is not just their advantage in martial spirits and spirit rings. It is very important to work together. Although Yunfeng helped them in the end, they also fought well before he helped. Flanders sighed. But I still lost. Compared with Tang San, Han Jun, the little fat guy, is really too bad. After teaching for so many years, I am still not as good as you. Hearing Flanders admit defeat, Yu Gang's face showed a smile again. It's obvious. It's rare that you admit it, Flanders said unhappily. Am I the kind of person who won't admit it after losing? Zhao Wuji on the side interrupted at the right time. He didn't give Zhao Wuji any face at all. It seems so. Last time you bet with me, you lost 10 gold soul coins to me, and you never admitted it. Yu Gang laughed at this time, perhaps because Tang San and others won. Flanders, I suddenly want to drink. Since you admit that you lost, treat me. Okay, I'll drink you to death. Flanders hesitated for a moment, but thinking of their friendship for so many years, he still said viciously, but the smile in his eyes revealed his true emotions. Seeing Yu Gang again, I don't know why. The happiness that I haven't seen for many years seems to have reappeared. The teachers have all left, and the Shrek people are naturally less restrained. Yunfeng has not forgotten what he said before. He didn't go far, and ordered a table of sumptuous dishes in the hotel restaurant, plus 2 barrels of good wine, and invited everyone to eat and drink together. Anyway, he is not short of money. Yunf, let me toast you. Thank you for your timely assistance. Daima Bai raised the full glass of beer in front of him and gestured to Yunf. Yunf smiled slightly, and also raised his beer and drank it with Daima Bai. Yunf, I toast you too. Although I am not as strong as you, I am afraid you are not good at drinking. Oscar raised the glass with some ill intentions. Before Yunf raised his glass, Dawu blocked it. Oscar, do you want to get him drunk? I will drink with you. As she said that, Dawu fully demonstrated her big sister style and drank the beer in the glass in one gulp. Chapter 171, Ning Rong Arong is a hidden figure. Oscar drank it helplessly, but he saw Yunfeng sitting there drinking with him. Okay, good drinking habits mean good character, Yunfeng. I toast you. Thank you for your last help. This time it was Ning Rong who stood up, picked up the cup and drank it all. Rong, don't drink so much, Yunfeng kindly reminded Ning Rong when he saw her like this. Looking at Ning Rong's current appearance, it was obvious that she was already drunk. After a glass of wine, her face suddenly became red, which was extremely cute. Knowing that he couldn't persuade her, Yunfeng gave up. Rong, we are partners, so don't say these things. Come on, let's drink, but you are all too young, so drink less. The more you drink, and the more you can't control yourself, including Yunfeng, who shouted at the beginning that he wanted to drink less, but in the end he just kept asking for more wine. Although the 7 of them were not very old, as soul masters, they had physical fitness far beyond that of ordinary people. In addition to the exercise during this period, their ability to digest alcohol was undoubtedly extremely strong. The drinking session lasted for 2 hours. When everyone woke up from their drunken dreams the next day, they could barely remember that someone drank a lot and was the only one who remained sober. It was not Yunfeng, who had the strongest spirit power, nor was it anyone else. It was Ning Rong, who blushed at the beginning. At that time, the first person to fall was Ma Hongjun. The fat guy's alcohol tolerance was obviously not very good, and the second was Oscar. Then it was Zhao Wu. What no one expected was that the oldest Daima Bai was the fourth to fall. Zhu Zuqing and Tang San fell together. Yunfeng was fine at first, but seeing Ning Rong's appearance, he finally gave up. He directly loosened his own spirit power restrictions and let the alcohol take effect. After all, if Ning Rong drank more, who knows what would happen. I don't know why she was so competitive. And the one who didn't fall in the end was Ning Rong. Ning Rong not only didn't get drunk, but she drank the most. When she drank, she almost drank a glass at a time, with the momentum of her previous outbursts. According to Ning Rong herself, this was her first time drinking. Afterwards, whenever everyone thought of this incident, there were only 2 words in their minds: talent. The fighting continued. In the next month, the Shrek people were very successful in the sub-arena of the Soto Great Fighting Soul Arena. Yunfeng also participated in several fighting souls, but basically there was no pressure. In 1 month, the Shrek people had participated in 27 group fighting souls, 27 wins in 27 games. There was no rival in the first level of level 30. In the 2-on-2 competition, Zhao Wu and Tang San also won 27 consecutive victories. The double-winged white tiger combination of Daima Bai and Oscar won 16 wins and 11 losses in 27 games. After all, Daima Bai was the only one fighting, and Oscar's sausages had limited effect in this kind of fighting soul. Ning Rong and Zhu Zuqing's 7 treasure Civicat combination performed better than the double-winged white tiger combination. After all, they participated in the 2-on-2 fighting soul of the first level of the 20th level Great Soul Master. They won 22 wins and 5 losses in 27 games. 8 consecutive wins earned them a lot of points. As for the individual competition, all the Shrek students were in the red. Daima Bai won 25 games in the 30th level except for 2 losses against control-type spirit masters. Tang San was very lucky. He did not encounter a fire-type martial spirit opponent. With a low level of 32, he actually maintained a perfect record in the 30th level Soul Master level. After all, facing his spider web binding, it is difficult for anyone to break free without a restraint method at this level. Zhao Wu was not so good. Although her teleportation was very special, she encountered opponents who just restrained her ability several times, but she also won 20 games. Ma Hongjun was also very successful in the 20th level, winning 23 out of 27 games. Zhu Zuqing's individual competition results were surprisingly outrageous. She won all one-on-one games without losing a single one. Because of her spirit power level, Zhu Zuqing fought more than Tang San. Calculated in this way, Zhu Zuqing became the biggest winner. Although the 3 different types of fighting spirit winning streaks in the big fighting spirit arena should be calculated separately, however, with multiple consecutive wins, her points still soared extremely. If it weren't for the regulations of the Grand Fighting Soul Arena that the additional points for consecutive wins need to be calculated uniformly at the end of the month, she would not have been as simple as the Iron Fighting Soul badge at this time. Despite this, the amazing performance of the Shrek people still attracted the attention of the Grand Fighting Soul Arena. If it weren't for the fact that their Fighting Soul badge levels were too low, if they didn't reach the minimum Silver Fighting Soul level required to participate in the Central Fighting Soul Arena, they would probably have been invited to the Soto Grand Fighting Soul Arena to participate in the Fighting Soul competition in the Central Main Fighting Soul Arena. When the Shrek people came to the Grand Fighting Soul Arena to participate in the Fighting Soul this time, it happened to be the second day of this month. There are a total of 30 days in this month, except for one day of rest. After today's Fighting Soul is over, a month has finally arrived, and then their additional bonus points will also be calculated at the same time. At that time, they will definitely no longer have the current Iron Fighting Soul badge, of course, except for Yun Feng. After all, his strength is too high, there is nothing he can do. However, Yun Feng's situation is quite special, so the Grand Fighting Soul Arena also directly raised Yun Feng's Fighting Soul badge. Compared with Yun Feng, what is more valuable is that among the Shrek people, Daima Bai's soul power has broken through the 38th level. This is not only because of his hard training, but also closely related to the physical training and actual combat in the past 4 months. Zhuzuqin and Ningrong also improved their soul power levels, reaching the 28th and 27th levels respectively. Continuously moving towards the 30th level, as night fell, the Soto Grand Soul Fighting Arena, located in the bustling area of the center of Soto City, was brightly lit again. Spectators came from all directions to watch the fighting spirits. From time to time, you can see luxurious carriages entering the Grand Soul Fighting Arena from the VIP channel under the protection of the entourage. Those are all nobles or people from big families. The fighting spirits that can catch their eyes are naturally the competitions in the central venue of the Soto Grand Soul Fighting Arena. Today is the end of the month, and it happens to be the weekend. The Soto Grand Soul Fighting Arena has naturally become the best place for Soto people to relax. Here you can not only see exciting fighting spirit competitions, but also gamble a little to try your luck and chase the soul master you support. Including Master, Flanders and Zhao Wuji, the Shrek Academy group entered the Soto Great Soul Arena in a completely separate manner. It was not because they were carefully hiding their identities, but because they had to do so. After a month of soul fighting, the Shrek group had achieved impressive results and naturally became the focus of the audience. Although they had not yet been to the central main soul fighting arena, the audience in the outer soul fighting arena was already very familiar with them. Chapter 172 I guess so. The title of the Shrek people has long become a familiar excitement for these audiences. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble and entanglement, starting from 10 days ago, the Shrek Academy group would enter the fighting arena in their original appearance, and then go to the designated location to change into another set of clothes and put on masks to register for fighting. Because of this, guessing which fighting area the Shrek 7 Devils will fight in has become a habit that the audience in the outer fighting arena never tire of. Today is still the same. They deliberately wear simple clothes to enter the big fighting arena. No one will notice a few children who look only in their teens. After these few months, Tang San and Ma Hongjun have reached the age of 13. In a few months, Dao Wu, Ningrong and Zhuzuqin will all enter the 13-year-old range. Age has become their best disguise. I still admire Yu Zhaogang for letting them wear masks. After all, it saves a lot of trouble. Although the team battle started last, it was the first to register, in order not to meet in the 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 competitions. Yu Zhaogang first told them the location of the division for the group battle, and then asked the Shrek people to disperse to different divisions when participating in the first 2 competitions. This way, they can avoid meeting each other and affecting the winning streak. The registration for the group battle will be carried out by Yu Zhaogang and Yun Feng as the agents of the Shrek people. Today, the master chose the 8th division of the fighting spirit area to register for his disciples. After a month of fighting spirits, the silver fighting spirit level that seemed extremely difficult to reach can basically be achieved in everyone's winning streak. Now we just need to wait for the points to be calculated after today's fighting spirits. Yu Gang does not want his students to receive too much attention. Once their ages are discovered, the attention from all sides will be annoying. The most important thing is that Yu Gang is a little worried that other forces will snatch these students away. At that time, he will have no place to cry. Therefore, he has decided that after today, he will take the Shrek people into the third stage of the trial he arranged for them. Habitually came to the registration point of the group battle area. Yun Feng took out the registration badge for the Shrek 7 Devils group battle and handed it to the staff. Please sign up for the team battle. The staff member also habitually took the badge. When he saw the words engraved on the badge, his face suddenly changed and he whispered Shrek 7 Devils. Yun Feng said nothing, but Yu Gang frowned. The staff of the big fighting spirit field was of good quality. Even if they met a high-level fighting spirit, they would not show too much expression. At this time, the performance of this staff member was obviously not satisfactory. "Excuse me, sir, are you the leader of the Shrek 7 Devils?" the staff member asked tentatively. Yun Feng nodded slowly at this time. "I guess so, please hurry up." Yu Gang froze on the side, but still didn't say anything. "Sir, please wait a moment." Under the surprised gaze of Yu Gang and others, the staff member quickly left his work and ran to the back of the work area. He still held the team battle badge of the Shrek 7 Devils tightly in his hand. Although Yu Gang was very dissatisfied, the other party had already taken away the team battle badge for registration. Even if he wanted to change to another area, he couldn't do it, so he could only wait here patiently. In fact, Yu Gang didn't know that as long as he showed this badge at the Soto Grand Fighting Arena today, he would get the same treatment no matter which division he was in. He didn't have to wait too long. After a while, the staff member who came before returned to the registration point with a person. "Sorry, I kept you waiting." The staff member politely handed the team battle badge back to Yun Feng. Yun Feng had an impression of the person the staff member brought. It was Director Rao, the host of the first team battle of the Shrek 7 Devils who came to the Soto Grand Fighting Arena this time, because the person in front of him was the one who arranged to give Yun Feng the fighting badge before. So Yun Feng still had a deep impression of this person. Director Rao smiled. "Hello, respected team leader. I wonder if we can talk. It won't take up too much of your time." After hearing this, Yun Feng said calmly, "Are you representing yourself for the Soto Grand Fighting Arena?" Director Rao hurriedly said, "Of course, it's the Soto Grand Fighting Arena." Yun Feng also knew what was going on at this time, so he didn't bother with it anymore, and slowly stepped back, letting Yu Gang stand in front. After all, he had expected this situation a long time ago. After all, the achievements made by the Shrek people in this month were too outstanding, and it was impossible not to attract attention, especially Zhu Zuqing and Tang San, who played the best and won all the fighting spirit victories in the whole month, must be the focus of attention. Although Yu Gang was reluctant to deal with the Great Fighting Spirit Arena, the power of the Great Fighting Spirit Arena was so huge that even the country was a little wary, so he naturally would not take the initiative to offend it. He nodded and followed Director Rao to a quiet room behind the registration point. "Mr. Team Leader, I'll get straight to the point," Supervisor Rao said solemnly. "On behalf of the Soto Great Soul Fighting Arena, I hope that the group battle that the Shrek 7 Devils will participate in today can be held in the central main Soul Fighting Arena." "Oh?" Yu Gang was not surprised, but said lightly, "This does not seem to be in line with the rules." According to the rules of the Soul Fighting Arena, only Soul Masters with Silver Souls or above can show up in the main Soul Fighting Arena. And the Shrek 7 Devils are all Iron Souls. Supervisor Rao smiled bitterly. "You don't have to be modest. With the performance of the Shrek 7 Devils this month, they will all get the Silver Soul badge after the Soul Fighting is over today. It's okay even if you become a Silver Soul one day earlier." Yu Gang's expression was still calm, but he was already laughing in his heart. But on the surface, it was still calm. "In that case, you shouldn't mind the one-day difference, right?" Supervisor Rao sighed and said, "I'll tell you the truth. 3 days ago, a team of Soul Masters came. They were all composed of Silver Fighting Soul Masters. It seemed that they were Soul Masters hired by several great nobles in Soto City. For 2 consecutive days, those great nobles placed heavy bets on them, and they won the Fighting Soul battle without any suspense, causing great losses to the Great Fighting Soul Arena. Since you are familiar with the Great Fighting Soul Arena, you should also know that, generally speaking, Soul Masters who have reached the Silver Fighting Soul level are all above level 40, but the members of this team are all Soul Masters. We can't break the rules and ask the level 40 Soul Ancestor team to fight souls with them, but if this goes on, the Great Fighting Soul Arena can't afford to continue losing. Perhaps because they have tasted the sweetness, those nobles increased the stakes today. If they continue to lose, I'm afraid. Chapter 173. Of course, Yu Gang is not a scholar. Yu Gang's mind was like a mirror, and he immediately understood what Director Rao meant. He was moved and said, "The Soul Master has already reached the first level of Silver Soul Fighting. It seems that they are very strong." So, what kind of team did the Soul Fighting Arena use to fight in the past 2 days? Director Rao was naturally prepared. Since our Soto Soul Fighting Arena does not have a Soul Master level Silver Soul Fighting team, we have no choice but to send out a Soul Master level Bronze Soul Fighting team to fight with them. One of them is the Mad Fighting Team, which was just promoted to the Bronze Soul Fighting Team not long ago and also fought against the Shrek 7 Devils, but they were defeated miserably. After these words came out, everyone frowned slightly. No one knew the Mad Fighting Team better than them. At the beginning, they defeated the Mad Fighting Team with the help of Yun Feng. Now Director Rao actually described it as a complete defeat. Ning Rong thought about it and asked directly, moreover, among the teams at the Soul Master level, the level of the Berserker team is already quite impressive. Could it be that the members of any Silver Soul Fighting team are at a higher level than them? After hearing this, Director Rao shook his head and said, "No, it's not a matter of soul power level, it's mainly the difference in soul rings. This Silver Soul Fighting team, like the Shrek 7 Devils, has the best soul ring combination. The huge advantage in soul skills has oppressed the Berserker team without a single chance." After hearing this, Yu Gang's face also changed a little. As the most famous theoretical master in the Soul Master world, he certainly knew what the so-called best soul rings meant. It means that the first soul ring is 100 years, the second soul ring is more than 500 years, and the third soul ring is directly 1,000 years. In Soul Masters, it is 2 yellow and 1 purple, such as Yun Feng, Daima Bai, Tang San, Oscar and Zhao Wu. Even so, how can the Great Soul Fighting Arena think that we, the Shrek 7 Devils, will definitely win the Soul Fighting Arena? After all, we only have 4 Soul Masters above level 30, and the remaining 3 are not even at level 30. Supervisor Ao smiled and said, "You are being too modest. Everyone knows that if we talk about the soul power level, the Shrek 7 Devils are among the last few in all the Soul Master level teams. But in the previous 27 group soul battles, we have won all the battles, which is unprecedented in our Soto Great Soul Fighting Arena. The so-called existence is reasonable. I think the Shrek 7 Devils team must be able to compete with this Silver Soul Fighting team." Yu Gang's eyes flashed, and after thinking for a moment, he said, "If I remember correctly, there should be extra rewards for participating in the soul fighting competition in the central main soul fighting arena." When they heard this, everyone was speechless. Originally, they had a hard time fighting the Berserker team. They asked why Yu Gang hesitated. It turned out that the real idea was here. When Manager Rao saw that Yu Gang seemed interested, he was secretly delighted and hurriedly said, "Of course, every Soul Master participating in the competition in the main Fighting Soul Arena will receive a direct reward of 500 gold soul coins, and this time you have been invited by us. If you can win this Fighting Soul, the Fighting Soul Arena is willing to pay an additional 10,000 gold soul coins as a reward." But because the Shrek 7 Devils have not yet obtained the Silver Fighting Soul badge, the points must be calculated according to the previous method. Fortunately, their current team battles have been winning streak and they have already earned a lot of points. Without waiting for Yu Gang to speak, Manager Rao continued, "For this Fighting Soul, please ask the members of the Shrek 7 Devils not to participate in 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 fighting souls today. Although we can't give them extra points to break the rules, but within our authority, Our Fighting Soul Arena can count their 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 fighting souls today as victories. Let their registered opponents admit defeats on their own, so that the Shrek 7 Devils can go all out to face their opponents. Yu Gang originally wanted to let the opponent add a little more, but seeing that the students around him seemed to be in a bad mood, after thinking about it carefully, he gave up the idea, not to mention that the conditions offered by the other party were already very generous. The most important thing is that he was attracted to this fighting spirit, not because of the points and money, but because of the experience for the disciples. A silver fighting spirit team that the Soto Great Fighting Spirit Arena attaches so much importance to, plus all the best spirit rings. Such training will only benefit the Shrek 7 Devils. Of course, the most important thing is to hit these students in front of them, let them obey their discipline better. After thinking about it, Yu Gang also nodded slowly. Okay, I promise you, please prepare the other party's information. I will go and discuss countermeasures with them first. That's troublesome. I have prepared the opponent's information. You can study with them first, and I will take you to the central main fighting spirit arena later to prepare. After speaking, Director Ao turned around and left quickly, obviously reporting to the higher-ups that the Shrek people had agreed to participate in the fighting spirit, and making corresponding arrangements. At this time, there was still a full hour before the group battle began, which was enough time for the Soto Great Fighting Soul Arena to make many arrangements. Not only were the Shrek 7 Devils brought to this room by the staff, even Flanders and Zhao were also invited here, which fully showed that the Soto Great Fighting Soul Arena had been observing their group for a long time. Yu Gang calmly repeated what Director Ao said before, and at the same time spread the information he had just obtained on the table in the room. Tang San, who was standing aside, suddenly found that there was something more in his teacher's eyes. It seemed to be a flame-like brilliance, and it was the flame of battle. Even for him, it was the first time he saw such a strong fighting spirit in Yu Gang's eyes. Yun Feng looked at him as if he was a joke, for the pitiful self-esteem in his heart. But little did he know that the other party had never thought about it at all. Everything was just Yu Gang's own fantasy. Fantasy about how the family would abandon him and so on. Void proves himself. Yun Feng didn't even want to say anything about this. This kind of thing is completely useless even if he is given the chance. He still thinks that the world looks down on him. Little did he know that he made all these up. For example, the top 10 core competitiveness of martial spirits. The emergence of this kind of thing has poisoned so many innocent spirit masters. After being criticized, he still doesn't think about reflecting. The simplest thing is that in the original work, Tang San broke the limit and absorbed the spirit ring of the human-faced demon spider. In the end, Yu Gang didn't even think about modifying his top 10 core competitiveness of martial spirits. As a scholar, such an attitude is really not flattering. Of course, Yu Gang is not a scholar. Chapter 174 Hard Rub? Compared to Yun Feng's psychological activities, Flanders on the side said helplessly, Yu Gang, you shouldn't have agreed to them so quickly. At least wait until we arrive. They said that a great noble has placed a heavy bet, and the amount of money is obviously huge. If we talk about it properly, they should pay more. Everyone was speechless again. Yu Gang looked at Flanders with contempt and said unhappily, Private. Flanders heard that his old brother was so disrespectful and smiled bitterly. A penny can make a hero fail. Do you think I want to do that? After hearing this, Yu Gang glanced at the students behind him. After seeing the expression on their faces, he said righteously, if we win this time, our profit will be considerable. 10,000 gold soul coins is a huge sum. I have already thought about it. 1,000 will be enough for each of the children, and the remaining 3,000 will be left to the academy, so that we can cooperate with my arrangement for their third stage of the trial. Do you have any objections? The last sentence was not asked to Flanders and Zhao, but to the Shrek people. In fact, everyone did not have much good feelings for Yu Gang. However, when Yu Gang said this, his heart was still touched. Maybe he is really a good teacher. As for Ning Rong and others, they would definitely not think so. What can be taught in the academy can be taught better at home. Zhao Wu was originally a soul beast, and she has lived longer than everyone here combined. How could she not understand the advantages of her own race? As for Zhu Zuqing, now that she has Yun Feng as her teacher, she naturally looks down on Yu Zhaogang. But for Yu Zhaogang's words, everyone shook their heads at the same time. They knew a little about the financial situation of the academy, and none of them was short of money. After the recent month of fighting spirits, not only did the points increase, but they also received corresponding benefits. After winning 5 games in a row, each additional win would be 100 gold soul coins, and after 10 games, it would become 200 gold soul coins. Flanders mentioned the day before yesterday that now all of these children are richer than the academy. Yu Zhaogang raised his hand and knocked on the information cloth spread out on the table, and said with a serious expression, "Okay, let's talk about these things later. Let's study the opponent first. After all, this will be an extremely difficult fighting spirit for you." There is a circle of gold embroidery on the outer edge of the white cloth, and the logo of the Soto Great Fighting Spirit Arena is embroidered on both sides, and the information of a team is neatly recorded on it. Everyone looked down. Even the proud Tang San couldn't help but take a breath. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. According to the rules of the group fighting spirit, each team can have a maximum of 10 people, and a minimum of 7 people. When fighting spirits, the number of participants on both sides is determined by the number of participants on the side with fewer people. The team that appeared in the information in front of them is the same as the Shrek 7 Devils, with only 7 people. The information is as follows: Royal Fighting Team, all 7 people, all Silver Fighting Spirit Badge owners. Captain, Yutan, Martial Spirit, Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus, 39th level Strong Attack System Fighting Spirit Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Vice Captain, Zhuge Yan, Martial Spirit, Green Phosphorus Snake, 38th level Control System Fighting Spirit Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Shi Mo, Martial Spirit, Black Tortoise, 38th level Defense System Fighting Spirit Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Shi Mo, Martial Spirit, Black Tortoise, 37th level Defense System Fighting Spirit Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Yu Feng, Martial Soul, Windbell Bird, level 36 Agility Attack System Battle Soul Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Oslo, Martial Soul, Ghost Leopard, level 36 Agility Attack System Battle Soul Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. Team Member, Yi Lingling, Martial Soul, 9 Heart Begonia, level 35 Auxiliary System Weapon Soul Master. Soul Ring, 2 yellow and 1 purple. In the entire information, there is no mention of the opponent's soul skills. Regarding this, Yu Zhaogang and others also understand that it is not that the Great Soul Fighting Field does not want to provide it, but that it cannot provide it. Who can be sure that the opponent did not deliberately restrain himself in the previous 2 soul fighting games? Once the soul skills are misjudged, it is very likely to bring about a catastrophe. Therefore, the Great Soul Fighting Field chose to let the Shrek 7 Devils test themselves. After reading the opponent's information, everyone looked up and looked at each other, and saw the surprise in everyone's eyes. Although they also thought that the opponent must be strong to become a Silver Soul, they did not expect that he would be so strong. Flanders lifted his crystal glasses on his nose. If I guess correctly, this team must be very famous in a certain city. Why did they suddenly come to Soto City? Zhaogang, you really shouldn't have agreed to fight with them. Our Shrek Academy is no match for them. Zhu Zuqing, Xiaoyu and Ning Rong also nodded, especially Xiaoyu. She knew about the royal fighting team, but it was because she knew that she felt confused. Why did they suddenly come to such a small place to fight? Isn't this just looking for trouble? And Ning Rong knew some of them. After hearing Flanders' words, Yu Zhaogang chose to ignore them. Now he has nothing. After seeing his former nephew, he naturally wanted to prove himself, so he said in a very high-sounding manner, "Pressure is the driving force. If you retreat in the face of difficulties, you will never become a real strong man." Flanders, where is your vigor when you were young? Flanders' face was a little ugly after being said by the master. Zhao Wuji on the side did not forget to fan the flames, gloating, and even said with a little sarcasm, "Master, You are really tough. You are right. Only by facing difficulties head-on can you gain something. Flanders wanted to say something, but Zhao Gang spoke again. If you really can't beat it, just admit defeat. After hearing this, Flanders almost couldn't breathe. After thinking about the money he bet, he shouted directly, "But, I have bet all my money on our Shrek to win. If there is no money, we will live in the future." After this, the eyes of the whole audience looked at Flanders. Zhao Gang almost couldn't breathe. "What? You bet all?" After Flanders said this, he also regretted it a little, but he still said, "But I'm thinking that we can win. I'm doing this for everyone." At this moment, Yun Feng, who had been silent all the time, suddenly said, "How about I go on stage? Since the badge level is not high enough now, I will go on stage alone to fight with them. Maybe it's possible to agree, even if I'm a Soul King." Yun Feng's voice was not loud, but it made Flanders see hope directly. Zhao Gang felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten shit. He wanted to prove it, but how could he prove it if Yun Feng went on stage? Hard rubbing. A good new book. Hey. Chapter 175. I'm going to beat 10 of them. Is this really okay? It's totally beyond common sense. Yun Feng shook his shoulders helplessly, then he said indifferently, "It's not a big deal to ask. After all, knowing that you are going to lose, it's even more stupid to go up and give money now." Although Yun Feng's words were rough, they were not without reason. After all, there is nothing wrong with trying. What if they agree? However, compared to Yun Feng's words, Zhao Wu looked at Yun Feng with a little worry. Then he said, "Yun Feng, what if the other party agrees? Can you fight 7 by yourself?" Yun Feng just smiled at Zhao Wu's concern, and then said, "7 may not be enough. I want to fight 10. And the people who were worried that Yun Feng could not beat them laughed at this time, especially Flanders. After seeing that everyone had no objection, he left here quickly. As he walked, he said, "You wait here, I will go to discuss things with Manager Rao." Seeing this, Zhao Gang also knew that he was powerless. A pair of eyes became extremely silent. After looking at Yun Feng for several seconds, a trace of regret finally flashed in his eyes. He regretted not accepting Yun Feng in the first place. In this way, his theory would be confirmed soon, and it would be more explosive than Tang San. After hesitating for a while, Zhao Gang looked at Yun Feng, who was talking to Zhao Wu and others over there. Zhao Gang still said, "Yun Feng, are you willing to be my disciple?" Before Yun Feng could react, Tang San on the side seemed to have heard some great news. His eyes widened and his body could not help but take 2 steps back. "Teacher, you..." But Zhao Gang was still unmoved when he heard Tang San's words. He looked at Yun Feng with burning eyes. Yun Feng almost got goosebumps. "Why are you looking at him like this? He is not a Zhao Wuji frowned, obviously not expecting things to develop in this way. After being forced to apologize by Flanders last time, he collected a lot of negative information about Zhao Gang. Although Yun Feng had hurt him before, as a teacher, seeing Zhao Gang like this, the anger in his heart could not be stopped from overflowing. "What kind of thing is this?" He immediately said, "Master, you are not just looking at Yun Feng's strength and want to pick peaches. Although I didn't teach Yun Feng much, but if you tell others, he is Yun Feng's teacher. You are not doing this well." Zhao Gang's face frowns, but he still ignored Zhao Wuji, just looked at Yun Feng and said again, "Yun Feng, are you willing to be my disciple?" Yun Feng was helpless, looking at Zhao Gang as if he was possessed by a demon. After thinking about it, he still said, "Master, you already have Tang San as your disciple, and I have basically practiced on my own over the years. I am not used to having a teacher, so forget it." Yun Feng's words made Zhao Wuji laugh. "That's right, that's right, he has his own way, and only a ghost would learn your 10 theories." Tang San didn't know why he was hurt by Zhao Gang's words, and now he came to stab him again. Who did I offend? It was so uncomfortable. Although Zhao Gang already knew the answer, he still felt a little uncomfortable. Rejected. "You know, Yun Feng is the Soul King." "I just missed it." Soto Grand Fighting Soul Arena, VIP Lounge Area, VIP Room Number 3. The luxurious room is 200 square meters, and the huge leather sofa is more than 15 meters long, enough to accommodate more than a dozen people to rest comfortably. The decoration in the whole room is mainly gold, with golden palace lanterns, golden wallpaper, and various golden decorations, all of which give people a sense of splendor. In front of the huge white leather sofa, there is a crystal tea table. There are exquisite snacks and various drinks on it. The most important thing is that one wall of this room is a whole piece of transparent crystal. Through special treatment, you can see outside from here, but you can never see what is happening inside the room from outside. And outside the crystal wall is the central main fighting soul arena of the Soto Grande Fighting Soul Arena, which has the most important position. At this time, there are only 7 people in the room, 7 people with different characteristics. They all look like they are in their early 20s. Sitting in the middle of the sofa was a young man with long black hair and a slender figure. He was not handsome, and his face showed little expression, as if his facial muscles were stiff. He was wearing a blue suit without any decoration. He gave people a very simple feeling, but this simplicity made people feel very dangerous. He was leaning on the comfortable sofa with his eyes closed. There was also a woman sitting on the sofa, but her posture was not so normal. Her beautiful legs were directly on the coffee table. She looked lazy, and her short dark purple hair looked very heroic. Strangely, she had a pair of green eyes, which gave people a bit of a weird feeling. She was not very beautiful, but she had a kind of enchanting charm. At this time, she was leaning on the shoulder of the blue-clothed young man who was resting his eyes and playing with her nails dyed emerald green. "Yanzi, don't be so tempting. After all, we are all virgins. If we get excited, it will be bad." Hee. The speaker was a handsome young man, not tall, of moderate weight, with short blonde hair and lively eyes, leaning against the large crystal window with a leisurely look. The girl on the sofa glanced at him, with a hint of disdain in her green eyes. "Then come on, do you want me to teach you how to become a man? Well, forget it, we are not blessed with your green phosphorus poison." The young man hastily refused, with a look of horror on his face. Looking at the green-eyed girl, there was obviously some fear. The green-eyed girl also had a hint of darkness in her eyes, but she didn't say anything. "It's what you deserve." "Who told you to provoke Yanzi for no reason?" Opposite him, on the other side of the crystal window, there was a young man in black clothes, also in gold, with a beautiful appearance comparable to that of a woman, shaking the drink in his hand and saying with gloating. The handsome young man said angrily, "Leopard, you have an opinion, right? After today's group battle, let's have a one-on-one fight and see how I teach you a lesson." The young man in black snorted disdainfully. "One-on-one with me? How dare you say that? You, a flying soul master, want to fight me, a ground soul master, one-on-one? It's obviously bullying. If you have the guts, challenge the boss to a one-on-one fight. Don't even talk about winning. As long as you can hold on for 3 minutes, I will obey you." Although the handsome young man was not convinced, he had to admit that he really couldn't hold on for more than 3 minutes against the captain. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.